顔をし合って革命のちぎり誰にも邪魔させるわけにはいかないから
Hi everybody. This is Paragade, Oops All Anime, where we talk about anime, specifically old anime that we were rewatching. I'm your host, Joe. Hi, Bran. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, Joe. How are you?
We're coming off a great conversation. So I'm good. I'm feeling fantastic right now. I might sound a little bit more sniffly because we decided me and my husband are like, we need a cat. We need a cat in our lives. Like,
that's a great decision to come to.
Yeah. Like, we need a little goblin to come home to. Like, that's what we need.
Yeah.
So we went to go visit a couple cats. None really pan out so far. But the reason why is because the moment I come into contact with even like a Sphinx cat, I just immediately start like going like, and just can't breathe because I'm horribly allergic to cats, as it turns out. But
as it turns out, what a surprise! Joe said, knowing this his whole life.
So I am like I'm hell bent because I'm also allergic to dogs, but I found a dog that I am not as allergic to. Like, I could be around that dog, and that dog just doesn't flare up my allergies in such a way that I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah, like, I feel like I remember hearing that there are hypoallergenic dogs, but I've never heard of a hypoallergenic cat, because I was on the same thing. I used to date a guy that had a really horrible cat allergy, and I was like, well, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I need cats in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if we got a Sphinx cat? And he's like, no, it's not about the hair, it's about the dandruff. So, like, it still will get to you because it's like a skin thing. So
I'm so bummed about that because, like,
when
we went to visit the Sphinx cat, I was like, I found it. I found the loophole. It turns out, no. Like, God was like, I hate gays, and I hate you especially.
Sphinx cat said, no gay rights. And you're like, why?
Why? So I'm still on the lookout. I'm hell bent, and I'm believing that there will be a cat that won't kill me. Like, I know it's out there. I know somewhere. It may not be a Sphinx cat. It might not be a Sphinx cat, but it will be a cat.
It will be. You know, I've read of people slowly, like, training themselves to not be allergic, and I don't know anything about allergies, so I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, no, it's absolutely not. It is 100% bunkus. It's just like, oh, no, because I lived, like, in an animal-infused household, and the moment I moved out was, like, the moment I could breathe again, and I was like, oh, this is what it's like to breathe. I didn't know what this is.
Wow. My nostrils aren't full of concrete 24/7. Incredible.
It's incredible. And, like, I'm not going to get too much into this. All I know is that this is the beginning of Cat Search 2K19. And we're going to find it. We're going to find this gremlin.
Is going to keep us posted on this cat search. And I feel like the next couple of podcasts, you're going to find the one. You're going to find the baby boy or baby girl or baby cat. Yeah. And we're just... Your podcasts are going to get slowly more like...
More congested.
More congested, yeah. You're going to be like, you know what? I don't care. I love my cat.
I love my cat. I love this little gremlin. I come home, this gremlin's like... And just...
You better hope it's not like Finn and doesn't want to chew your cords and your Gundams to pieces.
I feel like I shouldn't have to worry about the Gundams, but the cords definitely. It's like our household is like a cyberpunk dream where it's just like there's just so many cords everywhere. It's like right now I'm talking to you in a mess of cords of like a headphone cord, a microphone cord, and then like a recording cord. There's so many cords. I'm a mess of cords right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where in my head I don't understand why my cat loves cords specifically, and I finally just had to come to the conclusion that, like, he doesn't care about hurting things or destroying things that I don't care about. He wants to hurt my feelings, so that's just where I'm at.
Specifically my feelings?
He's doing a lot better in that he gets to go outside every once in a while, and I don't have to worry about, like, apartment dogs ripping him to shreds, or like
Right.
him getting, it's a city. I used to live in Orlando, so it's not a
Yeah.
good place for a cat to run around. Also, the strays that ran around in our apartment were like tough cats. So I was like, my cat's gonna get his ass handed to him if I let him out. But he's doing a lot better. So hopefully, if you do get a cat, hopefully it'll just be a chill cat. I always recommend going for like the old cats in the
Oh, yeah.
shelters that no one wants to adopt, but I'm like, they're the best cats because they're just like, look, I'm just old and I want to sleep all day and I want to get a snuggle every once in a while, and I'm like, A plus, 10 out of 10, best cat.
Same. Me. That's me, actually. I'm old and sometimes I just want to snuggle.
Yeah.
And then other times I'm like, don't touch me.
Joe has that moment where he selects the cat because he just shares this like like little staring into the eyes and like, are we old? Yes. Are we tired? Yeah. Let's nap all day. That's how it's gonna go down.
That's how it's gonna go down. So moving on. What are you drinking today, Bran?
Water. Because, like I say every podcast, the allergies up here are bad, and it actually is kind of segueing from our conversation for once. My allergies are terrible. I just took a pill for my allergies during this podcast, so I'm drinking a big old glass of ice water in an Avengers cup I got from when the movie actually came out. So it's a big, those like big movie theater cups with the Slurpee. Yeah.
Oh, good.
These are the best cups. I never throw these away. They're great.
They are great. I, on the other hand, am not that responsible, and despite suffering from allergies, I'm gonna make myself a cocktail. So I got my hands on Knob Creek maple bourbon.
Oh.
Which, it's maple whiskey, so you already know. You already know.
You already know.
And I read a book, unlike one of our protagonists from this anime, and I decided I was going to make a Canadian cocktail, which is a little bit of bourbon, a little bit of Cointreau, and simple syrup, a bit of Angostura bitters. You shake that up in a couple of ice, and then after that, you pour it into a chilled cocktail glass, and bada bing, bada boom. It tastes fucking fantastic. This is the best cocktail I've ever made.
Sounds delicious.
It's really good. I am just like, oh, this tastes like a fucking an actual bar cocktail, and I am proud of myself. I'm so fucking proud.
That's always the best moment when like a cocktail comes out good because you actually like followed the instructions instead of just being like, I feel like I could use twice the vodka. So like when it actually comes out nice, you're like, whoa, I'm like a professional. It's amazing.
I can make money from this.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. So then, aside from the obvious, what else have you been up to?
Not much. Surviving this week at work has been like the last thing. Yeah. I was just really trying to get through this week, and I'm really excited that it went better than I thought it would go. So, other than that, I've just been doodling a little bit. I actually haven't been doing a lot because like work has just been really stressful and tiring. So every spare chance I get, I've just kind of been relaxing and trying to recharge a bit. I actually have been watching my roommate play through Sekiro.
Oh yeah?
Which is really cool. He's like the kind of guy who will not stop until he is like perfect at it. So he'll play the game through, like, this is how I watched all the Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
Because I could have never played those. I have no patience.
Right.
But he played through it like 3 times and got really good at it. And then he's like, hey, if you and Nikki want to watch me play this now, I'm really good at it, so it'll go really quickly. So
nice.
It's really cool. I like it so far. I'm just enjoying watching Genji from Overwatch be cool. But yeah, it's a really beautiful game, so that's been fun.
That's good. I have been up to 2 things, which seems to be like the running theme. I'm usually up to 2 things, at least
There's 2 things going on at any given moment in Joe's life.
So the first thing, we're going to be discussing this in when me and Em cover episodes 3 and 4 of Code Geass. I binged the entirety of the OVA from Code Geass, Akito the Exiled. I'm not going to get too much into this, but it is like Sunrise at its best. Like, Sunrise just went completely into their bullshit and was just like, hey, guess what? We like Bottoms. We like Armored Hunter Melolink. We also like Gundam. And Code Geass is okay, but what if we focused on these other things and just put it in Code Geass instead?
What if we turned this separate anime into things that we like instead?
It was really good. Like, it had the same kind of melodramatic bullshit that I love about Code Geass, which me and Ed will talk about this later in the podcast, in the past. But it was very much a lot of the same bullshit that I really, really like about Code Geass, while also actually being a mech anime, which is like, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize that Code Geass was a mech anime. Who would have thought?
And yet, here we are.
And it was really good. It's 5 episodes long. It's on Funimation. They only had the dub, but the dub's really good. Like, because it takes place in France, so a lot of the characters have French accents, but they're also European. So, like, you'll have some people who have, like, Italian accents, Russian accents, and they're fighting against fascism, which, I mean, really, that's all you need.
That seems to somehow still be a theme in modern day life. So yeah, that's
that.
You can't get better than that. Like,
you
just
really,
having an anime verify that and be like, "Yep, you should be doing this. Anime said so."
You really can't. And I'm taking a break from Persona 5 because it's finally winding down and getting to the point of like towards the end where you don't have as much school time or free time to, like, you know, fuck around and do the shit that I actually want to do, which is just hang out with my friends. So I got bummed out, and I was like, alright, I'll get back to this later. And instead, I bounced between Dragon's Dogma and Yakuza 0. And Yakuza 0 is still a good fucking game. It's still so good. Like, I know I've talked about this before, but Yakuza 0 is a good fucking game, dude. Like, I still love the fact that, like, all the side missions feel like it's still the same character, but it's like in this wacky universe of just like shit just happens to Majima and Kiryu, and you're just like, why is this shit happening to them? Like, why are they helping a BDSM lady learn how to be a BDSM lady? And also, why is Majima suddenly like this girl's new dad? Because she doesn't have a father, but she's like, I want these crane game machines. And I'm over here like, yes, I too want to play the UFO catchers, which reminds me of my time in Japan and makes me very nostalgic. And oh my god, please bring me back to this beautiful country.
I love games like that are just really unapologetically, like, all over the place. Like, you're like, you stop and ask, like, why is this happening? And then you're like, because Yakuza 0. And that's all you can really say is just the title of the game, moving on.
Okay, because I can actually get more into this. There's this one part where you, as Majima, you come upon a performance actor who's, like, posing as a statue. And at first, you don't realize he's a statue, and you poke him, and he's like, ah!
Nice.
And Majima's like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I'm a performance artist. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. And you come upon him again, except that he's, like, stuck in a pose. He can't move, and he really has to go to the bathroom. So you had to distract, like, the crowd to make sure that he could go ahead and sneak away and go to the bathroom. And and the way you do this at first is, like, you do, like, a little dance, but there's no music going, so you just hear, like, the tap of the feet going.
Oh my god, Jumanji drums.
Oh my god. And then after that, nobody's looking, and you're like, shit, what else should I do? And then you start doing the singing, which is the same song you do in karaoke, which is like, Songonori, I love you, you love me, and then, like, everybody's looking around like, what is this guy doing? Oh my god, his singing's amazing. And they're like, but this statue though. So they look back at him, and he's like not allowed to go to the bathroom. And then after that, some guy comes out, he's like, why the fuck are you singing? It's almost like you're having fun. I'm here to go ahead and stop you from having fun. And then you get into a fight with this guy, and everybody's watching your fight because it's Yakuza, and it has a really flashy, like, fighting system. You're like, holy shit, that was amazing. And you look at the statue guy, you're like, go to your porcelain throne. And he's like, you got it, buddy. And he goes and takes a shit, and that's how you solve that guy's problem.
That's the best side mission I've ever heard of in a game. Is that a side mission, or is that, like, the main, like, part of the main plot?
That is a side mission, and all of them are like this. All of them are like this. It's so good.
It's so like slice of life, but like on the same level of action you'd expect from a game called Yakuza 0. Like,
oh my god, and I love how like both protagonists, Majima and Kiryu, are like self-proclaimed crime boys. They're like the scum of the earth. They're the Yakuza. And meanwhile, they're over here just doing like the good and the needful for like the fucking neighborhood. They're the most goodest of good crime boys that I've ever witnessed in my entire life. It's like, I'm a crime boy. I kill people. What do you kill people with? Kindness.
yeah, basically.
Go play Yakuza. Like, anybody who's listening, just go play it. Like, if you have a
recommendation.
If you have a PC, if you have a PS4, go play it. Go play Yakuza 0. Go play Yakuza Kiwami. Play all the Yakuza games. It's really good. God.
And I'm just sitting here like, also play the other game Joe's playing, Dragon's Dogma. Play it again, and again, and again, and again.
Which, okay, I still love this game, and I finally got to, was it Grand Soren? Yep. And the first thing I did was pick up a pawn and throw them into the river, and then I got put in jail.
Yes! Oh man, that game is so good. It's so bad, and it's so good because of that. Like,
oh my god, it's such a good game.
It's like, so good.
Minus the even the faults make it a more better game because I'm just it's like this diamond in the rough that just like so wonderful.
It's such a it's just my brand. Like, I love what is crappy about Dragon's Dogma. Like, I can't be mad about it. Every time someone's like, that game sucks because this, and this, I'm like, and I just sit there smiling like, I know, it's my brand. It's my exact brand of garbage. It's a great game. It's on the Switch and the PS4 and PC. The PS3 and PC. And
it's everywhere.
Don't they have like a online thing going on too?
They did, but they discontinued that one because it turns out like the Dragon's Dogma MMO was actually not good.
Well, yeah, that's fair, but
yeah, but yeah, it's basically everywhere, and especially
it's a great game.
It's like $40, so it's actually not like that bad. Like, it's not that bad of a price for as much content as you're getting.
Yeah, and also to anyone that starts playing that game, always turn your character to the side before you make them officially, because at least 50% of the necks in that game have like goiter syndrome, where they just be like super swollen and weird looking. So you might think that jawline look good, but turn it to the left and make sure, because
turn it to the left
learn from the mistakes I've made over like the 12s of thousands of times I've played this game. Just check that character before you
oh my god. Look at us, we're doing a callback. This was a video game podcast at one point.
It was. Not anymore, though.
Not anymore. We're talking about anime because it turns out that's a lot easier to get through and get into because video games take a lot of fucking time.
And patience.
Last bit of housekeeping. Just so everybody does know, at the last end of this podcast, we're going to be talking about Code Geass with me and my husband. So, like, I'll go ahead and do our sort of, like, kind of outro with Bran, and then we'll cut back to our recording we made with episodes 1 and 2 of Code Geass. And that, we're basically covering 3 episodes of Death Note and 2 episodes of Code Geass, because I'm pretty sure, like, after we go through the next 3 episodes of this Death Note watch through, you're gonna see why I need a break from Death Note. I need a break, and I need like a little bit of a palate cleanser that isn't Light Yagami. I can't stand Light Yagami.
And you chose Code Geass as a palate cleanser.
Yeah, because Code Geass...
These are words that could only come from you.
Because Code Geass turned out to actually be better than I was expecting, and it might be because I was watching Death Note at the same time. It's like, if I was watching, like, Haikyuu and Code Geass, I think Code Geass would lose. But right now, I'm watching Death Note and Code Geass looks like the fucking, like, golden swan who's shitting out golden eggs right now.
And see, I'm reeling because I had to actually stop myself. Not because I'm used to doing like 5 episodes, but this is my favorite part of the show. And I was like, no, don't keep watching. And then in my head, I'm like, but I wanna, this is the best part of the show. And then I start reading through Joe's notes. I'm like, oh, he's so mad. He hates it.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Alright, so this is usually the part where we go ahead and interject one of my favorite bops from the Death Note L's theme. Let's talk about some anime. Alright. So, episode 16, Decision. So we cut to Light and Rem in the woods, and Light just got done burying his Death Note, and he relinquishes the ownership of Rem's Death Note to her, and he's like, oh, it turns out when I go ahead and do this, I still keep the memories because I have my Death Note still. By the way, Ryuk, when I say get rid of it, despite whatever context I say that in, go ahead and get this Death Note. And Ryuk's like, you got it, buddy.
Thumbs up.
So, during this time, like, Rem's also just like, you gotta keep your word. You gotta go ahead and save Misa. You gotta go ahead and save Misa. You know what I'm saying? And Light's like, yeah, whatever. Misa.
He's like, okay.
He's like, who's Misa?
Yeah, literally. Light does not care. He's like, yeah, I'll totally do that. Can you just, like, do what I'm saying for now, though? And she's like, I guess.
I guess. Meanwhile, Elle is overlooking Misa, who has lost her memories, and she's like, hi, stalker dude? Hey, buddy, this is real weird. You really gonna go ahead and stalk me this much and then put me in this kind of getup? And I'm over here like, same, why'd you put her in this kind of getup?
Yeah, and then she's like, hey, Mr. Pervert, and Elle's like, I'm a pervert? And I'm like, do not act surprised. Like, you can take one look at this and be like, this would be banned in certain countries. Like, just the image of it alone, like...
I think that Elle doesn't know what pervert means. I think this is one of the few words he doesn't know what it means. Like, Elle doesn't know what sex is.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Elle fucks. Like that whole scene where he's like, I can't believe my son is looking at those magazines, and he's like, it's not unusual for a boy of his age. Should have seen the shit I was into when I was 17.
Okay, you're right.
Like,
you're right.
Like, and then, like, on top of that, he, like, straight up, I know it was to, like, technically grab Misa's phone, but, like, he straight up grabbed her ass.
Oh, no, don't make Elle gross, please.
Well, like...
No.
I mean, okay, he's not gross. I think that specifically was to grab the phone, but later on, he's a big Misa fan. I'll just put it that way. He's a big Misa fan.
Okay, so so after that exchange, Light comes in and he's like, "Hey guys, I might be Kira," and Sajiro's over there like, "What?" And Elle's like, "Yeah. No shit, huh?"
I know, they all like surprised. They're like, Light, what are you saying? And he's like, I might be Kira and not even be conscious of it. And Elle's like, are you kidding me? Like,
oh my God.
You can see it in his face. He is so pissed. He's like, are you really this desperate right now? Oh. And then he thinks he's got him, and he's like, yep, fine, let's put him in containment. Let's lock him up. See if criminals stop dying. And everyone's so surprised. And I was like, I don't know why y'all mad at me. This is clearly Light Yagami's plan.
He's like, this is basically it. He's basically asking to just be put in, like, fucking solitary confinement. And Sajiro's like, what are you saying? Like, my son could never be a murderer. And Elle's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I feel
serious.
I feel my soul escaping my body.
I love every interaction that Light Yagami has around his dad. You could see Elle just feeling sorry for his dad, but in the same breath, he's like, God, I hate that kid.
God, I hate him. I hate
So
him.
sad for your father because you're such a dick.
So after that, they put him in solitary confinement, and I made a note here. Boy, does Light look at home in his fucking cell like fucking Hannibal. Like, basically, we just need to be played by Mads Mikkelsen at this point, and there you go. That I feel like if the series ended here and Light, like, fucking Ryuk, like, pieced out and just, like, didn't retrieve the Death Note, and Light's like, why am I not losing my memories?
Womp womp. Just like Ryuk's just like, well. Oh, that's funny. That would be great.
That would. Oh god, that is the sound of my chair breaking.
Your chair? Did you just fall?
No. Oh, I'm gonna keep this in, but yeah, no.
Wait. But did your chair actually break?
A part of
like
it did.
Just fell. Oh, okay. I was about to say. I just imagined you like laughing, and then your chair just exploded.
Oh. Okay. So, anyways. Center.
Cue back to that L falling out of his chair and screaming.
I'm gonna put a gif of that in like the fucking bod of this. It's just like a fucking Please. L, just like
R2D2 screaming, just falling over.
Anyway. So after putting Light in solitary confinement, he's watching him, and Sojira's like, "Listen, buddy, I realize that like my son might actually be Kira. He isn't, but I'm
if
like,
he was."
I'm hanging on by a thread here. I'm about to punch somebody. I'm about to cut loose. I'm about to make lose it. And he's like, I need you to also put me in solitary confinement before I do something stupid. And
yeah, and I love how Elle anticipates this. He's like, I had a feeling you'd say that. And I'm like, I get that anyone could look at Sorichio and be like, this guy might just freaking snap at any second. But, like, man, this show really goes all out with, like, them just knowing that Elle, or, like, having Elle just know what people are going to do next. And I like it. But it just, like, it really does, like, put it in perspective how much Sorichio is, like, he is snapping. Like, his hair is almost all gray at this point.
Yep.
And he's like, not only am I, like, not handling this well, but, like, lock me up right now because if I have to see one more kid get locked up in a cell and we interrogate them, I'm just gonna snap. And I'm like, you know what? Good on you, Sorichio. He knows his limits.
Yeah, he definitely knows his limits. And so they're like, all right, I mean, we could put you up in like a nice hotel room or something. And he's like, no, I'm gonna be in a cell just like my son. And I'm just like, Sorichio, you deserve so much better. Your son's actually a murderer. You don't need to do this.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's kind of almost like a protest on his end, because he's like, I don't want to feel like I want to have, I'm having solidarity with my son here. He's going through this, and like we're going through this, and it's my son. I thought it was a cool move on his part, if albeit like a little dramatic, but like it really goes to show you how much he like truly believes that Light is innocent. When like the other people, when they do like light up, you know, and the times start going by, no criminals are dying. Like Aiza was like, well, there's your proof, lock him up. Like he's ready to accept it, and then he just turns around and pulls this little forgetting move, and everyone's like, wait a minute.
Yep, because like in the background, Ryuk's having withdrawals. He's like, yo, I've not had an apple in like 2 weeks, buddy. Come on, you gotta help me. And Light's like, I guess I might as well get rid of it. And fucking Ryuk's like, oh, time to go. He just like busts out of his like idle animation, and he's like, yes, I'm a Skyrim protagonist now. I must go ahead and go. And he's like, bye, Light.
He literally is walking out of like through the wall of the cell. And can we just pause on the way that Light delivers this line? Yeah. Like I have to think of it in my head. I'm like, it's kind of a rough thing to like make yourself say. I would have chosen like a funny code word, like oh, my back hurts, like because he's been laying in a cell. Oh, let me just get rid of the Death Note. But like, no, he's like, get rid of it. I'm like, okay, well that's pretty obvious. first of all. And then the way he brings us into the conversation while being audibly monitored is like, Elle's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? How you doing? You looking a little rough. And he's like, you're right. I guess I'll have to take this pride, this useless pride, and get rid of it. And I was like, what the hell kind of sentence? Like, no one's saying you're full of pride. I mean, you are, but like, what does that have to do with how you're doing? Like, it was just a really random way to bring that like actual thing, and it makes me laugh every time. And then you have Ryuk, who just literally gets up and is like, later, and walks through the freaking wall.
To bring it back around to Dragon's Dogma, it's like one of Dragon's Dogma NPCs just going, arisen, and just starts walking off.
Oh my god, wolves hunting packs, and just like walks.
Wolves hunting packs arisen, and just starts going forward.
Like, just like squints at the wall, like, good riddance, you asshole. I hate that guy.
Ryuk would play Dragon's Dogma. That is our new canon. Ryuk is obsessed with Dragon's Dogma as much as he's obsessed with Mario Kart and Mario Golf.
Yeah, Mario Golf.
Oh, God.
That's right up his alley.
Okay, so Ryuk goes out of frame, and then after that, we get a zoom in on Light's eyes as it goes from, like, actual anime antagonist to anime protagonist.
Wait, I just remembered, I'm not Kira! And he's like, what? Like,
oh, God. Yeah, he actually says that. He's like, I'm not Kira!
the freaking, like, I love... It was really brilliant because, like, I know that Light on some level knows that he's acting in a guilty form or fashion, even though, like, he's technically not, you know, giving any proof. Like, L can sense it, and he's like, the only way for me to fool L is to literally believe that I'm innocent, and the only way that I can do that is by forgetting about the Death Note. And he just turns into a giant baby boy. We all have to watch him be like, wait, I changed my mind. Just L's like, you what? Like,
You what? Oh my God. So he's like, you know, like, how could this be happening? What did I do? And I'm like, it's because you're a moron. I hate you.
That note had me rolling when he's like, why is this happening? And I'm like, oh, you're gonna have a fun time when you realize why it's happening.
Oh my God.
I love this part of the anime so much because, like, it's fun to watch. I think it's also, like, it makes the ending extra, extra sad because Light and L have the opportunity to get close without that kind of in the way. Like, it's still in the way, but it's fun to watch that dynamic go through something like this. But on top of that, it's so fun watching Light Yagami play himself. Like,
it's like, congratulations, you played yourself.
Like, imagine being on that level of paranoia and, like, just straight up control freak where he's like, yeah, and then I'm gonna trick myself. Like, I know that I know that I know. Just like,
I hate it. Because then, after that, he's like, L, look into my eyes. Look into my special anime eyes. Does this look like the person who's lying? And L looks at it and he's like, fuck, it doesn't look like somebody who's lying.
I love your note. You're like, my brand. Like,
my brand.
It's so real. He's just like, oh, man.
Oh, damn it.
My freaking guilty radar is not going off. What's happening? Who am I?
Like, you see it in L's face during this, too. Like, he's having, like, a fucking mental breakdown at the same time. He's like, wait, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting to see L, like, stop and be like, wait, I don't understand. Like,
I
had eyes that were ready to understand. Yeah. He's like, I had eyes that was sitting here ready to slap handcuffs on this boy, and now everyone's like, Ryuzaki, a bunch of criminals were just murdered, like 2 weeks worth, and he's like, what? And they're all like, oh, time to let Light go. And he's like, guys, we were all on the same page 2 seconds ago. And then, it just gets worse from here.
Oh, God. So, that leads us into episode 17, Execution. Because it's all about the execution, really. So, we cut to Light, Misa, and Soichiro still in solitary confinement, and, like, it's been, like, I think 50 days, so...
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been, like, about a month and a half, which, I think at that point, like, Light's family should be like, hey, I realize that we're women, so we're not going to get any sort of character development outside of, like, trauma, because that's what the writers are capable of. But it seems a little weird that Light's not home. But
I love how, like, they're probably just smiling at each other at home, like, oh, wow, Light's such a busy college student, like, just smiling with, like a slightly offset mouth.
I'm going to drag these writers for everything and just be like, treat women better!
Literally. Yeah, Death Note is unfortunately not the best anime for being like, women deserve well. I'm like, I'm pretty sure almost every good woman character dies. Like,
either dies or faces a horrible fate, like Misa. But we go ahead and also open on a new murderer with the Death Note, and Reb's like, you gotta go ahead and kill people every once a week. And he's like, yeah. And he's clouded in shadow because,
he's mysterious and new.
He's mysterious and new, but he also has a Death Note. And we cut to Elle still watching everybody, and he's just watching, like, and he's like, still Kira? And he's like, I'm not Kira! And he's like, alright.
He just leads it, like, Kira says, what? And Light's like, what? Wait, no, I'm not! Like,
I'm not!
This is, like, one of my favorite moments in the whole anime, because he's, like, he's just sprawled out, looking like an innocent little snack, and he's like, and Light's, I was like, hi, Light. How you doing, buddy? And he's like, I'm okay, Ryuzaki. It's occurring to me. Someone must be intimately... And, like, as soon as he gets consciousness again and he, like, wakes up a little, he's like, it occurs to me that someone must be framing me for that. And Light, or Elle just interrupts him flat out. He's like, no, Light, the reason that criminals are not dying is because you're Kira. And he's like, no. Like, that just... The way that Elle just cuts him off and is just like, shut
Don't start with that bullshit again. Don't you do that.
He's like, don't you start with me. You literally admitted to this when we imprisoned you. And he's like, no, I was crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. And he's like, stop sounding so right.
I will turn the solitary confinement around, so help me God. Oh, God. I also love the screenshot you took of the scene with, like, Light sprawled out on the floor. I'm like, oh, there's been, like, several dojins made of this scene, hasn't there?
Did you see my reply to that comment?
Yeah, I did. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no, it just flat out, like, just look.
It writes itself.
It literally, the writers they knew exactly what to do. He's just laying out there like, oh, I'm so innocent and hungry. And I'm like, shut up.
Oh, here's where, like, all the merchandising is going to come in. We're just going to sell this cell, like, copied a million times. Because that's what every fucking Fujoshi is just gonna love. Here we go.
Slap it on a freaking coffee mug.
And I'm over here. That looks stupid. I'll buy 10.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I would never. Then I see it. I'm like, my brand. Like,
my brand.
My garbage brand.
Oh, God. So, during this, he also checks in with Misa. He's like, hey, Misa, you doing okay? She's like, this looks kind of fetishy. Like, don't you think this is a little bit fucking weird? And he's like, you're right, it is. I had weird tastes as a teenager.
Like, I love how the whole time she's in prison, she's just, like, kind of putting up with it when she knows she's Kira, you know? But as soon as she doesn't, she starts calling them out. She's like, this is really weird. And she's like, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? And they're like, stop. And she's like, yeah, because it's freaking weird. And they're like, ugh. They start getting uncomfortable. And they're like, we gotta let her out of here.
She's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, she's calling me out on my bullshit.
And then he checks in with Soichiro. And he's just like, listen, we gotta talk, man. Like, man to man, father to son about your other son. Because
Father to son-in-law, I need to have a discussion about what I'm about to ask you to do.
and then we get cut to a scene with Soichiro talking with L, and it's all silent, and then you see Soichiro's face go like, what?
Like that slow, like obvious frame rate of like, and it's like getting more and more and more like shocked. And for a second, I was like, wait, what are they talking about? And then I was like, oh no, I remember.
So, the rest of the investigation team is also commenting, like, how, like, it's almost like you're pissed off that you're wrong. And Elle's like, you right! I am pissed off that I'm wrong because I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Aizawa starts making some good, like, points. He's like, hey, if criminals have started dying again, then, like, Light's still there. We're observing him. He can't be guilty. And Elle's like, doesn't really have anything to say other than, like, I don't understand. He's just grunting to himself. And Aizawa's like, Elle, you should really let Light and Misa go. And then I love that part where Matsuda is really excited that criminals have kept dying, and he tries to grab the mic and tell Light, and Elle just flat out smacks him off.
Yeah.
He's like, give me that! Like,
Don't be stupid!
Yeah. Like, it's a really good approach for him to be like, nope, like, let's make him think that criminals haven't started, because if he thinks this is all going according to plan, like, let's try and, like, get him out of it. And when that doesn't work, they talk to Sorichio, and the next thing you see is Light and Misa in the car.
Yep.
With Sorichio, and they're driving down the road. Well, it's just Misa at first, right? So, like, you just have Misa, yeah. And she's, like, really excited to be out. She's talking, and Sorichio's just like, please stop talking to me. Don't ask me any questions. You haven't been cleared of suspicion or whatever. And then they, like, come up on this weird tunnel, and Light's just standing there like, it's too bright. And then they throw him in the car, too. And,
it's too bright. My anime eyes can't take it. They're so much larger now.
He's like, no, my innocent anime eyes. And yeah, so then they get out, and I love this part as well, because it kind of concerns, because at first I'm like, yeah, Misa's like finally calling them out and being like, y'all are freaking freaky, like, I need you to, like, stop doing what you're doing to me and let me go. And then the whole time she's calling her Light's dad a pervert, and she's like, I can't believe you had tied up like that, blah 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 blah. And he's like, please stop talking, I'm sorry. And then they get out of the car, and Light's like, Dad? And she's like, oh no, I called your dad a pervert. And I'm like, you should! Like,
you should!
Like, your first question is, why did my boyfriend's dad not, like, or have me tied up? Like, that's not your first question. Oh my She's God. Just like, oh, sorry I offended your dad. And I'm like, I hate the writers of this show. Please stop.
It's almost like they never talked to a woman. Who'd have thought?
Incredible.
So as they're driving away, like, oh wow, it's glad that we're getting. I'm really glad that we're getting released. And so Sorichio is like, you're not. And they're like, and he's like, I'm taking you to your execution. And then he does like a fucking initial D deja vu move into like the fucking middle.
Deja vu.
Deja vu. I've just been in this place before, and.
He really does. Like, he's just like going off the rib. Like, it's like that meme where it's like, it has like the obvious answer, and then on the right it's like impulsive, whatever. It's just like, drive my son home to his loving family, peel off the road suddenly to execute him.
And he explains, like, listen, I'm not gonna take you to this execution site. I'm going to kill you and then kill myself because I should have been a better dad and made sure that you weren't a fucking sociopath. And he utters the most badass line.
It is so hard. Like,
Bran, I give you the honors. Recite this line.
Okay, like, so he builds up to it a little bit, right? He's, like, telling them this plan. He's super calm, and Light and Misa are freaking out. Like, he's like, Dad, you have to believe me. His voice is cracking. It's a really good performance by all the voice actors. Even Misa, who's typically really, like, high-pitched and kind of, like, ditzy and whatever, like, they both sound like they think they're about to die. Like, they really genuinely sound terrified. And Sorichio turns around in the seat, right? And he's telling Light, like, no, this is what's going to happen. And they're still handcuffed. Like, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So he has, like, the most I wish I had taken a screenshot of it so I could, like, call upon that kind of, like, just resolve. Like, he has this utter resolve in his face. And he's like, pulls out the gun and points it at Light's face, and he's like, "Light, my son, from one murderer to another, I'll see you in hell." And we're all like, "What?" And then, like, the zoom in, it comes, of course, it has to cut, right? It cuts, like, a commercial break, right? Comes back, he delivers the line again, and in slow motion, like, Light's like, and then he fires the round, and Misa's, like, slow motion, like, crying, her tears are flying everywhere because it's an anime.
Of course.
It's such a great dramatic moment, and they both just kind of, like, sit there, and nothing happens. And Light's like, he's, like, shivering in the face.
I wish that they did, like, the Otacon scene where it shows, like, pee in his pants and everything.
Yes!
I really wish that they did
like,
that.
I hope in my heart of hearts that Elle was just sitting there, like, like, watching the whole thing happen. Like, I hope I get to see this happen to Light in the future, but, like, for now, I'll take this.
Oh my god.
But yeah, after nothing happens,
he's like, oh my god, you're actually not Kira. And Elle's like, I guess they're not Kira.
He's so pissed.
Like, because he's like, yeah, like, if Light was Kira, he would have had you killed basically, like, you know, right before pulling the trigger. And Misa, with her fucking powers, would have killed you on the spot. Yeah. But
which is funny to think about, because, I mean, it's definitely good logic to follow that, you know, they don't know that it's an actual physical act that they have to take in order to complete the murder. So it sucks because it technically doesn't prove anything, like, based on what we know, but for Elle, it does definitely count, like, as evidence. So, and let's just talk about what a rough toll that is on Sorichio. Like, he already has proven that he's the one person that would literally die before, you know, accusing his son of being Light. Like, he's gonna believe him until he has evidence, like, hard evidence, and even has, like, offered to take himself off the investigation just because he feels he's too emotionally attached to the case, understandably. But, like, this is the links that, like, we start to see him willing to go through to prove Light's innocence, is almost like faking his death, like. And he delivered, like, he, like, really came through with that performance and was, like, totally sold. And, like, if like, I would give money to see, like, Kira Light in that situation, because I genuinely think he would have been like, oh, like, I don't know what he would have done, but it just cracks me up to think about him seeing and having to face the same reality that, like, his dad sold the performance of wanting to remove him from the world for being a murderer, just like Light would kill his family, like, if they got in the way of being Kira. So it's cool. It's a really, really cool scene in the show. It's one of my favorite scenes because it's, like, one of the only scenes that actually has a lot of action, but great performance by the voice actors, and I like seeing Light squirm. Like,
I love
so funny.
I love seeing Light so pathetic.
He's like
oh my god.
Sounds like a chihuahua. Like, anybody would, but, like, it doesn't matter. It's pleasing, and it's hilarious, and I like to imagine Elle just very happy with the scene, like, wow, great job, everybody.
Wow.
Somebody get this kid some new pants. Like,
oh my god. After that, they get all back to sort of Command HQ, which is a hotel room, and Misa is just, God, again, these writers don't know how to write women. She's just like, I just love Light so fucking much! I don't know why! I just do! And I just want to go ahead and be with him 24/7. And Elle's like, same! I also want to be with him 24/7. I got him this, like, friendship bracelet.
She's like, Nanny? Like, he's like, that's right, buckle up, Buttercup. Every date from this point on,
I will be the third wheel.
Watching you with my owl eyes. Just staring.
Oh my god. She's like, no! I don't want this! And Elle's like, I don't want this either, but this is the only way to make sure that fucking Light is not fucking Kira. And then after that, in the in the corner, the fucking police are just stewing. They're just like...
They're so mad, like...
They're like... Because she goes out about, like, I support Kira in everything that he does. If it turned out that Light was Kira, I would go and support him with no matter what. I would kill anybody who gets in his way. And they're just like, I need you to stop. Can we arrest her again, please?
I love it because Elle's just like asking her these questions and she answers so blatantly and he's just like, okay, well, it's freaking obvious that you're the second Kira. You've made it so obvious that like I almost wish you weren't. Like, and then he just like, well, anyways, so we've got that one. Everyone check off that box, and then
Let's put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that and just etch it into stone because it's true and we can all tell by everything that she's saying.
And,
but yeah.
Fucking Aizawa just had it, and he's like, get the hell out! And she's like,
get out, that's it! I've had enough, get out! She's like, no, let's go on a date! I know, it's a good point, though, like, the task members are probably, like, not only really frustrated and unsettled by the fact that, like, this teeny popper little, like, model is the second Kira, like... I know they're frustrated because she's really annoying in general, but the fact that they're just sitting there having to come to grips with the fact that, like, the masked killer they've been chasing is, like, this Lolita goth.
This Lolita goth.
That's, like, in love with Light, and Surichi was just sitting there like, is this going to be my life? Is this going to be, like, my daughter-in-law? Is this my future? And I was like, that's it! Get her out! Get her out of it! I can't focus!
And, Elle looks at Light, he's like, listen... It's very obvious that she was the second Kira at some point. I need you to fake being her boyfriend in order to do this. And Light looks at him and he's like, I would never take advantage of someone's emotions like that. I'll talk about this after we cover the next episode, but there is so much here that I want to unpack. Because... yeah, Light would never do something like that. Why would Light ever take advantage of someone's emotions? I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And Matsuda's here, like the dumb golden retriever puppy, who's just like, burp, burp, burp. I just like being a good cop. Burp, 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 burp. And
they're like, that's great. Get me a coffee. Like,
oh my god. Then we cut to, like, you know, a shady business room where, like, a bunch of guys are just, like, gathered around the most, like, ill-effective desk that I've ever seen in, like, a meeting room ever. It's slanted, so you can't put anything on there. You can't bring water, because if you put it on there, it's gonna go beep, and then fucking slip. And they're like, who are we gonna kill today? And I'm like, this is actually in a boardroom of capitalism. I know this for sure.
It's the Knights of Capitalism. Here they are at the round table.
Here they are at the round table to decide how they're gonna go ahead and make everybody's lives hell.
Yeah. We'll make their lives great.
And they're like, yeah, like, you know, somebody in this room is Kira. And I'm just over here like, gee, I wonder who it is. Is it the guy with the slicked back hair? I bet it is. I bet it is. And
wait, you talking about the guy with the long hair?
No, it's like the guy with the slicked back hair who looks like he's a protagonist, or who looks like he's the antagonist from Diamond is Unbreakable, and that's the reason why I know he's the antagonist. Because he looks like the fucking dude who has killed. He looks like, which, ironically enough, is also named Kira. He looks like Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so therefore I know that
Hold on.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Look it up. It's the second form with the black hair.
The one I'm pulling up's got blonde hair.
No, it's because he redoes his face so that he has slick black hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so are you talking? So okay, I just want to know, like, if you've got the right one.
Wait, hold on. I
Like, if you've guessed who the actual Kira in, because it's kind of fun. It's kind of like, ooh, like who at this table of the Knights of Capitalism is the next Kira?
hold on. I will send you a picture here, and
Okay.
I want you to confirm whether or not it's right or wrong. All right, it's sending.
Oh yeah, so that is the hairstyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It's right? I'm right?
I mean, does he have red hair?
Well, no, he doesn't have red hair. He has black hair.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's not the right one, because Ganondorf is the second killer.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
I mean, like, it's a similar haircut, but,
Ah, damn it.
let's look up my good friend Higuchi.
Higuchi?
Higuchi, aka the Ganondorf of this series. Well, I guess it does. I mean, hold on. It does kind of look like black in this picture, but I'm pretty sure it's red.
Don't make fun of my color blindness. I swear to G.
Oh no! No!
I'm so mad. How dare you hit upon me? Why would you do that? Oh yeah, no. This is fucking Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is just Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I see no difference.
Okay, but here's like an actual picture.
Oh my
Higuchi.
God. Higuchi.
Everything's Higuchi.
It's Kira! It's fucking Kira!
Okay, so yeah, I can see. Yeah, never mind. Because I think later on, like, his hair doesn't look very red now, but like in later shots, like the more he uses the Death Note, it starts to like look reddish because they're like.
Oh, is it symbolic?
Yeah,
it's symbolic as it gets bathed with the blood of the innocent that he goes ahead and kills.
It sure is. You know it is. He wouldn't be a knight of capitalism if that wasn't the case.
Oh God.
Anyways, that was a fun sidetrack into my boy Higuchi over here.
So we go to episode 18, Ally. I forgot to put the episode description here.
Don't worry, because I've got it from here.
You got it. All right.
So, I love episode 18. No, so they all start out, and they're all, first at the end of episode 17, Elle's just like, yeah, so, okay, well, let's talk about Light being a spoiled bitch, because he's like, oh, we're just gonna keep hotel hopping? I don't want to work in a task force and just to hop from hotel to, I'm like, it's a nice hotel, bitch, be thankful. No. So then Elle's like, no, of course not. What do you think I am, a classless? I had a 23-floor story building built with 2 helicopters on the top and 2 floors underneath. That's where we're all going to be living now. And they're just like, okay. So they all go to task force headquarters, which is now this huge skyscraper that Elle had built. He didn't just go out and buy a building, right? He didn't just buy and then have it filled with the things he need. No, this is how freaking rich Elle is. So we're like, okay. So we like go to Elle's like fancy new hotel.
Yeah.
So it starts out and we're all like, yeah, task force time. And it starts out and Aizawa is like trying to get into the building and he's pissed because he can't get past the metal detector.
Ineffective TSA that has ever existed.
Literally, he like keeps getting mad because it like keeps going off on him. So he takes his pants off and like walks in, and they're like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "I hate that thing." And he also touches really briefly on having a fight with his wife because she threw like a hairdryer at him because their daughter is very young.
Yes, domestic violence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This, I don't know, like, I know it was back in the day and all, and in Japan, but, like, yeah, he's just like, oh, this, yeah, my wife threw something at me, and I was like, and he's like, because I'm working a lot, and my daughter's really young, and Sorichio's just kind of, like, giving him this, like, I know how that is, and I'm like, are y'all okay? Like, y'all are cops, though, like, you know, you got resources, right? But I mean, they don't really take it to that level.
Oh, of course not, because again, this is written by somebody who's never talked to a woman.
Probably. So yeah, so that kind of sits out. So he's like, "What's going on in here now that I'm at this giant hotel?" And Matsuda's like, "They're on a date." So they just like pan over to Misa and Light and Elle on a date in this freaking room. Misa's pissed, and she's like, can you just, like, get out of here? I want to, like, have some time with my boyfriend. And Elle's like, yeah, no, I can't do that. And she's like, I'm just going to turn off all the lights, and then you won't be able to see us. And he's like, we have infrared cameras. I'm just going to keep proving you wrong. Deal with it. I'm here. Can I have that piece of cake? And she's like, take the cake and get out of here. And he's like, no. So he just keeps eating his cake, and they're talking, and Light is like, what the hell's been wrong with you? You're really, like, gloomy lately. And I'm like, probably because he's chained to a serial killer that he can't prove is a serial killer. But he's like, that's not it. And so Elle's just basically flat out like, yeah, I'm depressed because I was wrong. And he, like, says it in this light that, like, he knows he's not, but he's just like, yeah, I guess I'm just a little depressed that my deduction was wrong. And, like, just gets up and is like, cool. Bam! And just decks him in the face. And then they start just flat out killing each other and kicking each other in the face because, like, I don't know what kind of karate or martial arts or taekwondo that Elle knows, but he gets some good kicks in.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and because
awesome.
they're chained to each other, anytime that they hit each other away in this shonen fucking way, they just pull each other. And
exactly. They're just like...
to be honest, I was kind of expecting, like, Elle to hold on to the chain and just keep bopping, like, fucking light. Like, why you hitting yourself? Why you hitting yourself?
Yes. So they're, like, killing each other. Misa's screaming. Matsuda's like, we gotta do something. We gotta break this up. And they, like, call the room. And they just pause. Like, they just put everything on hold. Light and Elle are killing each other. Got their shirts, like balled up in a fists, like, coiled back. And the phone rings. And Elle just stops. And he's like, yeah. And he just answers the phone with, like, a black eye. And I just sit here like, I love them so much. And Matsuda's like, some random news about Misa, isn't that great? And he's like, cool. And then he, like, hangs up the phone, and Light's like, who was it? And he's like, Matsuda's being an idiot. And they're like, okay. And they just go back to being normal. It's great. And so after that, they go back to the corporate assholes for a little bit, and they're just, like, talking about who they're going to kill and who they've already killed, and they start kind of talking about how that one guy that we said should die this way, like he should slip and fall and hit his head die instantly or something. It didn't happen. He died of a heart attack because we didn't know he was in Italy at the time, so it was impossible for him to, like, make it home to slip and die in his own shower because they're idiots. So, of course, one Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is really cocky about it, and they're all just kind of delivering this with the sense of, like, we all just got to do what we're told, and we got to act really cool about the fact that, like, we got a murderer that we report to, and this one guy is like, yeah, guys, I told you, if you wanted to work, and he just starts explaining the note, like, the Death Note rules, and they're like, cool, yeah, we totally don't know who Kira is, so, so that happens, and then after that, they basically go through this big, portion of this episode where the police force have essentially been threatened by whoever has the Death Note, Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And they've basically said, hey, like, we don't want you affiliated with this, investigation. If you don't back out, we're going to start killing politicians. So the police force is like, shit. So they contact the task force, and they're like, look, we have to fire all of you. Like, you have to quit if you want to keep working on the task force. But if you want to keep your job, you have to quit the task force because we can't be breaking this rule. We don't want politicians to die. So everyone's just kind of, like, struggling with it for a minute. Sorichio's just basically, like, after a couple minutes, he's like, no, this is, like, all I have. I'm going to dust off my resume if this doesn't work out or after we catch Kira. And Matsuda gets really excited, and he's like, yeah, me too, boss, yeah.
I'm going to quit my job. Everything's going to be fine. Like,
yeah, because he's
so stupid. He's so dumb.
He's a big, dumb baby, and I love him. But he's just like, yeah, Chief, me too. Plus, I'd feel like a loser if I just quit the task force now. And Sorichio, like, barks at him. He's like, dude, watch your mouth. And Aizawa, it pans over to him, and he's just like, he's got a family. He's really struggling with it because, like, he can't just leave his family to, like, he was willing to risk his life for it, and he says that, he's like, what kind of friend would I be to Ugita for if I just gave up now? And they're like, dude, don't think about it like that. You've got a family. Like, you have to take care of your family. That no one's going to think that you're any less for trying to take care of them.
Yeah.
And Elle just listening.
Says that.
Yeah, even Elle says that. And then after a while of him, like, going through some real struggle bus here, Watori comes on the camera, on the TV monitors, and he's like, Elle, didn't you set aside like a giant trust fund for like all of these babies on the task force in case they were to lose their jobs?
And Elle's is
like,
just like, shut the fuck up,
yeah,
Watcher.
he's like, shut up. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like, that part, I don't know if they kind of, I really honestly forget every time if they explain it later, like, why he didn't just mention it, or if he was just genuinely curious and wanted to see someone struggle with it, and wanted to...
Yeah, because I think part of the reason why he doesn't mention it is, like, yeah, it's easy to say, like, I will throw my life away, but also I'm on the police force. Because, like, at the end of the day, that's your job. You kind of throw your life away regardless. But if suddenly you don't have that sort of pretense anymore, what do you do with that? And I think that's what he was looking after. It's like, what if you don't have that pretense anymore? Like, do you still do this? And if you don't, that's okay, but really, like, how do you justify that to everybody else, or does it only matter to yourself?
Yeah, and that is a good point, but I just genuinely, like, I look at how much Aizawa was struggling with it, and, like, the voice actor does such a good job of, like, the emotion in his voice, because, like, it really, like, tears at my heartstrings thinking about it when he says, the reason I became a cop was to catch the bad guys. Like, that was, and it's such a little kid thing to say, you know, but it's like, the really good base of wanting to work with law enforcement is just like, I want justice. Like, that's, he really does truly want to bring bad guys to justice, and it just, like, breaks my heart that he has to think about other things on top of that. It's not just him, he has a family, and so yeah, he mentions that, Watsuri brings that up, and Aizawa gets mad, very understandably, and he's like, "Were you just sitting here testing me when I'm trying to literally decide how I'm going to survive? Whether, do you think that's," he just gets mad, and so Elle's like, basically, Aizawa says, if I didn't know now, I do, or if I didn't know before, I do now, because I'm not going to work with someone that's just going to, like, toy with my emotions like this, and treat my life like it's a game, and like, you're just watching all of us, like, we're not the ones under investigation. And then he goes to turn around and walk out, and Elle's like, that's sad. Or, yeah, because he flat out says, like, I hate Ryuzaki, and he walks out, and Elle's like, I'm sorry, I really like you, Aizawa. And he's like, I also hate you, always gonna have the last word. And then he, like, turns around, and Elle's like, says something. I don't even know what he says, but he really does have to have the last word.
He really does have to have the last word, but it's also like, I actually really, really like you. I'm just really bad at communicating, dude. I'm sorry.
I really hope that's it. And on top of that, though, like, I think after watching Ukita die, and, like, we saw Elle shaking, like, he was really scared, and he's the one that stopped Aizawa from running out the door and getting killed the same way. So it's cool to see them interact like this, because it does, I personally think that Elle was hoping most of them would quit, and not because he didn't want to fork out the money, like, he definitely wanted to give that to them, but in general, I think he genuinely wanted to see, like, what was worth more to the cops, and what was worth more to them, because he doesn't want them to die needlessly. Like, and that's not to say that his family is more important than the Kira investigation, but he just genuinely, I don't think, wanted to put any other lives in danger, and wanted them to struggle with that and to think about it. But, you know, sitting there and just kind of, like, letting them stew in it is just rough. It's just sad. It's a rough thing to go through. So after that, Aizawa, we see a scene where Aizawa is in the park, and he's just kind of, like, staring out, not knowing what to do, and he runs into his family, like, at the park, and his daughter's, like, super excited to see him, and she's really happy, and his wife's a little standoffish. She's like, look, you need to tell me if you're going to be home tonight, because I only shopped for me and our kid. And she's like, aren't you supposed to be at work? And he just kind of starts crying, and he's like, yeah, I got some time off. I've got lots of time off. We can go do this. We can go do that. And he just kind of breaks down crying. And it's such a unusual end for a Death Note episode. Like, most of the time it leaves on some kind of cliffhanger or whatever, but this one just really lets you soak in the fact that, like, the Kira investigation is not only serious for, like, our two main characters. Like, we start to see it taking a toll on Sorichio, but, like, the actual task force, where they really start to take on a personality in this episode, and you start to recognize names, you start getting personalities down, and I like that they built Aizawa up so much, even though he technically leaves the task force now. he does come back later, and he's a super cool character, and I'm really glad that they give them this screen time, because it's not a good anime unless you have like backup characters like this that genuinely, like, it makes you sad to see them going through it, and it keeps you remembering that, like, it's a good thing to have right after Light being like, I'm innocent, because you're like, okay, but your effect is still here. Like, it's a cool contrast. I like that they came in and gave us that really, really sad moment with Aizawa to contrast that, like, hey, what you're about to see is going to be like heartwarming, and we're all going to wish Light wasn't guilty, but like, you can't forget not only the lives that he's taken, but the lives that he's ruining still with his goal. So
exactly, and I think that's a good place to end that episode, because like, my main problem with like this, I guess, entire arc is that at the end of the day, Light is still Light. And the only reason why he isn't, like, you know, taking advantage of other people's emotions is because he doesn't have the power to do so. The moment he got the power to do so, he dumped that all behind.
That's the true test of character, is having the ability to do something bad with no consequences. Like, are you going to do it or not? And we've seen that Light will. And it is tragic and sad to me personally. Just, I like this arc a lot because you get to see that, like, you get confirmation, obviously, like he's a bad guy, but like, we get to also see that the connection that he and Elle build, and that they could have been really good friends. It's a whole tragedy of could've. Like, in my mind, this is why I love watching it, because I like thinking, like, I want them to like go on and solve crimes and stuff, and then you just keep halting and you're like, he's Kira. Like, he's literally the bad guy.
I think the other thing that really kind of resonates with me in this is that I guess the main thing that really kind of sticks with me is, like, Misa is still the same. Like, no matter what, like, even though she's being annoying about the fact that she has this devotion to Kira, she's honest with herself.
Yeah.
Like, she knows who she is. Whereas Light is so dishonest, so disingenuous. He's such a fucking... he is the worst, because it's like, he is capable of such horrendous, horrible shit. He just refuses to do it.
Yeah, and I think a big it's cool to see this glimpse into, like, what would an innocent Light do in this situation, and, like, technically innocent, you know, he's not actually innocent, but in his mind he is. I think it just speaks to his overall, like, cruelty and just flat out danger, that he would put himself through something like this. Like, imagine getting your memories back and then, like, looking at what you did to yourself and thinking, like, it was so worth it. And you're like, holy God. Like, it's like, I literally played myself successfully, built friendships, and it's all just hilarious because I got away with it. And that's what's really tragic about... What's tragic about Death Note is not, like, Light's downfall. What's tragic is, like, the people he takes with him.
Yeah.
Specifically Elle, and definitely Misa, too, because, I mean, like you said, like, Misa's just flat out honest. She's like, yep, like, I would love Light if he was Kira, because I'm a Kira supporter. This is who I am. This is why I do it. And, I don't know, like, with the whole Light... Like, we're in, like, the first episode where he's, like, technically innocent, right? So you can tell he wants to catch a bad guy because he's really good at what he does, but I think we get this glimpse back to Light being this perfect little A+ genius who hasn't had to really work for anything in his life because he's just so freaking smart, and he finally has something that he can dedicate his time to, and it's good, but, like, it's sad to see, but it doesn't change the fact that he was that same kid when he found the Death Note, and he chose to use it to kill criminals, but, like, at what cost? You know what I mean? Like, it's, you struggle with this, you get to see him struggle with it, but ultimately, in the end, he's freaking Kira. You're like...
And the thing is like, I guess, in my heart of hearts, I also believe it's that the writers want me to like Light.
Yeah.
And want me to forget that Light was capable of this horrible bullshit.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm over here like, no, I do not. Because
I want you to, like, give into it a little bit. Like, not because, like, I want you to feel sorry for Light, but because it makes Elle that much sadder. Like, it's gonna be so sad.
No,
and I don't want to be the only one that's like, oh god, you're gonna be like, I knew this was happening because Light's an asshole. And I'm like, come on, buy into it a little bit.
Because you want to know something? In the back of Elle's mind, he also knows this.
He also knows, but like,
he refuses to engage with this because this is the thing I also love about Elle, and it's like, this is the real tragedy, is that, like, he really cares about human people, and it shows in every one of his actions. Like, the fact that he's like, I don't want you to risk your life needlessly. That's the reason why I'm not telling you about the fucking trust fund. It's like, if you're gonna risk your life, you want to risk your life. It's not because you got a safety net. It's because you want to.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to, that's perfectly okay. I don't judge you for that.
Yeah.
Like, Elle is such, like, the epitome of, like, you know, I
Justice?
really... Not even justice. He just cares about other people.
Yeah.
And even people who don't deserve it, like Light Yagami. Like...
Yeah, it's I love their contrast a lot because, like, with Elle, if you look at him and the way he has conversations with people, like, he's not a very sociable person.
Yeah.
And yet you have Light, who could literally talk anyone into doing anything. He's super just, like, friendly and approachable and handsome. And then you look at Elle, who just looks like a freaking gremlin who crawled out of a cave 2 seconds ago to be like, I'll solve the case. And, like, doesn't have good relationships with people, isn't really good at maintaining those, but, like, through both of their actions, like, the contrast is so great because Elle again and again and again proves that, like, he's a good person. He genuinely cares about people, and, like, even I like that they build this relationship between Elle and the task force because, like, he loves those guys. Like, he respects the hell out of them, and he just shows it in everything that he does. And that's why it's even super sad that
I feel like that's the reason why it's gonna be sad for me. Like, when Elle does die, is like, I seen, like, he's such an idealist. He's such a fucking idealist. And I really wish that, like, he was as cold and as dead as me. Because...
You're like, kill him. Kill Light right now in his sleep. Do it. Like,
Just do it. Just fucking do it. And he's over there like, no, I gotta think about my dad. And I'm like, don't think about him! Just don't! Just do it! Just do it! Oh my god. So,
the whole struggle between, like, I like this because we get to look at Elle as this really, not cold, but very logical person. But through his struggles to catch Kira and his, like, relationship to Light and the task force, like, we watch him become more and more and more human. Not more human, like, he's a human, but, like, just more outright and emotional. Like, we get to see him grow emotionally with this team, and it's so sad because that's exactly how Light planned it. Like, it was the only way that he knew he could actually get out of there. And it's like, by the time he goes back to being Kira, like, it's too late. Like, he can't really tell exactly when, and it's like, wait a minute, like, now I feel like it's right again, but I've already gone so far in this other direction. It completely throws him off. I can't wait. That scene is, like, so crazy. It's gonna be great, but
it's gonna be great. And I guess the last bits here is not necessarily how I think that this is gonna go. I know how this is gonna go at this point because I know this key plot point. Elle's gonna die.
Yeah, if you're watching this podcast and you didn't know that, no apologies. It's been out for a long time, and yeah. We'll put maybe a small spoiler warning, but, like, no, you should know. Like,
well, I feel like anybody who's watching this, it's like it's a spoiler cast. If you're not up to this point, it's like whatever. But anyway, the other thing is, this is more of a question for you.
Okay.
Because this was about the point where, back when I was first watching this anime, I dropped off.
Yeah.
What kept you on this anime?
Okay, so I won't lie. I actually first started watching this anime. I was actually Skyping with Sky and another friend of ours at the time, and watching these episodes. And either I was watching it on my own, or we had someone was streaming it, and we were all kind of like in the same stream watching it. So yeah, when Elle dies, I lost it. Like I quit this show for like I quit this show for like. And okay, I didn't quit it immediately. I stuck around for the next 1 or 2 episodes, and I was like, I don't like Nier and Mello. I don't like them. I'm mad. I'm angry. They're not L. They're not my boy. I quit. I am so done. Like I was such an L stan when I first started watching this show. Like and I still am. He's a great character. Yeah. I've just come to like appreciate Light in a lot of different angles, and not that like he's a good person, but like of the characters in the show, like I like them both. At first I was like, die, when I watched Light. But yes, I was really mad. I didn't like the Nier and Mello whole thing, so I actually didn't watch it for a couple of years. I want to say I was like, we must have started watching that like when I was like 14 or 15 years old, and then I think I picked it up again like a year or so later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, when I picked it up again, I was like, I gotta do it, I gotta rewatch it, and then I gotta just keep pushing forward because I just want to see how it ends. Like, if I'm mad about Elle dying, like, I'm gonna stick around to make sure Light follows him into death because I can't stand it anymore. So yeah, that's...
Okay.
There really wasn't a lot that got me, like, I can't think of, I guess the one thing that kept me going was, like, I know they're gonna catch Light. Like, I know they're gonna catch Light, and that made me feel better about it.
Okay.
But also, I actually I read something online. Someone was kind of doing like an analysis of Death Note and like themes and stuff, and they really went into how like Nier and Mello. And I know we haven't really even gotten to them, so if you haven't watched the show,
I think we should save that until we actually get to Nier and Mello.
Yeah, like they had like some good points about those two characters that made me a lot more accepting of them, and it made it fun to watch with that in mind. So,
because I feel like that will provide a lot more context once we get there. Because I feel like I'll have a lot of the same reactions that you're having right now. Because
probably
I love L, and I love that he is the most human of like all like anybody really. Like even compared to like Sotaro, who's like he's like the epitome of badass cop. Like he should belong in Die Hard, not like Death Note.
Yes.
Like he should belong in like an action movie as opposed to like this. But like L is such the epitome of like, I care about human life. I'm not
humanity. Yeah.
I'm not good at expressing it. It's just that like,
but I know why it's right, and I know that it's worth fighting for, and that's what I do. And it's like, hell yeah, L.
Exactly. So that's the thing I like about this, and I think that's also the thing that's just like, despite everything else turning me off about this anime at this point, like L is the one thing that's keeping me going along because he is such a compelling character, and I like that the writers have done such a good job of like writing the way that he is.
Yeah. Because
he is such this like, he doesn't know how to communicate. He really doesn't, but he really, really, really cares.
Yeah. And I like that because it's almost this, I mean, a lot about Death Note is it's designed, like, just our protagonist, or I guess now you're right, protagonist, just the guy that, like, we start the story with, like, it's meant to push your boundaries of, like, it's meant to be like, whoa, but, like, he's such a nice guy. Like, you're supposed to be like, you get this whole start with Light, you almost get behind his reasoning. You're like, yeah, I mean, like, it's not a good thing to do, but like, at least they're criminals. But you get introduced, and you're already pushing like your own morals and the way that you think about people and what you think about justice. And then you get L, who looks insane and only eats sugar and is just crazy.
He's a gremlin. He's a fucking gremlin.
He's a barefoot kid, and we're all supposed to be like, what the hell? Like, but he ends up being like this beautiful, perfect, good boy that is just this champion for actual justice, and he's supposed to like slap the shit out of us and be like, hey, what are you thinking? You're like, I'm right. You're so right. I'm so sorry. And he's like, that's right. I don't care how cute he looks when he's tied up behind bars. We're kicking his ass. You're like, you're right. You're so right. He's like, and I care about people, and I care about justice, and I don't care if y'all don't know that I care, but like that's just what I'm about. Like that's what we have to do. We have to protect people, and like that's why I do what I do. It's I can't wait to get into like where he was, like where he's from, and like his childhood, because we don't see a lot of it, but we get like small glimpses.
Yeah.
And Ella, he's just a beautifully written character. He's a perfect. It's not often that you get a show, especially in anime, where like you have two characters that are just so yin and yang, like so perfectly balanced in what the other lacks, and this show just really takes that to the extreme. It's just great.
It really does. So, we have two last segments. One, I realize that you're not going to watch Code Geass, and we're going to talk about it together. But for a preview, for our listeners rather, I'm going to send you the opening, and we're going to watch this together. And I want to hear your reaction on this. So wait, we'll go ahead and start this on the count of 3.
Okay.
All right, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, the trumpets.
Right?
Oh my god, the anime shiny eye.
It's so good.
What is this Doctor Who nonsense?
Oh, it gets so into it.
Oh, I hate this animation, Joe. It's so hard to look at.
Oh, you get used to it, and then it becomes endearing. I'm not gonna lie.
It looks like a freaking knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh! And my eyes are melting. It's literally like how to draw manga.
It really is.
Oh, ow.
Green hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god, sparkles.
Here's the Gundam.
Okay, as far as Gundams go, that's not a bad looking Gundam.
It's also on roller skates,
Sick!
right?
Why is she... And a horse!
Yeah.
Don't forget the horse! Oh, they got a blonde-haired villain. I mean, what else do you need for a good anime?
All right. So, I figure, Bran, you're not gonna be joining me for this next segment. It's gonna be my husband, and me and my husband really, really like this anime, like a lot. It is so up its ass on its own bullshit. It like if you're not like, especially if you're not gonna do this on the podcast, definitely watch along with us, because that opening was just a small taste of the kind of bullshit that you're gonna get with Code Geass. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts here, Brad?
Well, like I said, it looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Knockoff. And I've never watched Yu-Gi-Oh! I just know that when I look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Animation, it hurts my eyes. There are certain animes that I've made a point of avoiding because my brain is like, that's not how anatomy works. And Dragon Ball Z is just like, ah, in the corner. I'm like, please stop screaming at me. Then that's not to knock on Dragon Ball Z. I know it's a great anime. Please don't come for my life. I've tried to watch it before, and I did not stop because I didn't like it. I actually liked it, but...
Tyler's gonna be in our mentions just like, what the fuck you saying?
Clarkson's gonna be like, what was that? Yeah, he let me all 5 seasons, and I got like 3 episodes in, and then my life got really busy, and I had to graduate college. So, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and I so yeah, it looks... I'll be real. The word soup store is just going through my head. And I'm like, I fucking can't escape. It's just like, what do you want the soup store? That's all. That is the extent of my knowledge on this anime. All I know is the soup store, and then I know that.
Could you all just die?
Like, I know that part. can you let's just kill the Japanese? And I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And then I know it kind of might have to do with space, and does it happen in space?
No.
Okay, well then that's how clueless I am to what happens in this anime.
So, in that case, this is a great plug. Everybody should go ahead and listen along after this segment. If you enjoy anime about like a sort of bored genius protagonist who somehow gets like a god power, but instead of becoming like an intolerable shithead of a character, what if they became basically Char Aznable from Gundam, which means the best character to have ever lived in anime, to have ever...
I was like, please explain. Like, I don't know who that is. And you're like, let me explain.
Let me explain. He is the best character. He is the savior of space and also the savior of humanity, who decided that, like humans' souls are too weighed down by Earth's gravity, so therefore we must get off of Earth. And Lelouch Lamperouge is here to go ahead and tell you the same exact thing, except it's about racism, and like we should stop being racist to the Japanese and also other people in general.
What was that a name you just said? Lelouch Wawoosh?
Lelouch Lamperouge.
What? Is that the bad guy?
That's the main character. He is, I would say, the good guy.
The main character's name is
Lelouch.
Lush Bath and Body Works. Lelouch Barouche. I don't think I don't.
Lamperouge.
Lelouch Lamperouge.
Yes.
He's a lamp. Okay. All right. Okay. I am. I would watch the parody, but I don't think I don't think I could ever watch this show.
Oh, no. Come on. You're going to watch along with us. It's going to be great.
Lamp Perouge can go on to do great things, and I'm just going to watch Death Note for the 30th time of my life.
All right. So, before we get on to the next segment, Bran, where can we find you on social media?
Hit me up on Instagram. My name is Branwitches. I just posted a selfie for the first time in 20 years. And also I post pictures of my cute cat all the time. So it's definitely worth it. He's a ham and he's cute. So.
Oh my god. And you can find me at Just Joestar on most social media, including Twitch, where once a week I go ahead and stream Deadly Premonition, which is a game that's basically Twin Peaks. It's basically Twin Peaks. And I
was about to get real excited. I was like, what? It's Twilight 2? Like on top of Twin Peaks.
Oh my god. So it's Just Joe, J-O, so Just Joestar on all social media. You can go ahead and find me there. I stream once a week on Twitch. And with that, I'll go ahead and put Flow Colors again here, and we'll go ahead and start talking about Code Geass, an anime I actually like. Hi, it's me, Joe. This is the second half of the episode. I'm here with my husband. Hi, Mael.
Hello.
So we're watching Code Geass.
Yeah, we are.
So, before we do that, because this is probably gonna be like a little bit of a bit of a time lapse between like when me and Bran record.
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
So we are drinking some Rittenhouse rye with some honey and ginger to add a little extra sweetness and zestness. Which, fun fact, Rittenhouse is a very nice rye, but this is the first time, at least that I've seen, that Rittenhouse is actually available in our neck of the woods.
You know, fair.
Yeah, like you haven't seen it, have you?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, like this is one of my dad's favorite ryes. Fun fact.
It's a good rye.
Very spicy.
One thing, because I did forget to mention this before we did start recording,
Yes.
and it did come to me.
Yes.
How did you get introduced to Code Geass?
Oh, Lord. I think Code Geass was available on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Because this was definitely not suitable for kids. So it wasn't on Toonami. and it might have actually been after Toonami passed, when Toonami got canceled the first time around. Oh god, this was sometime in high school.
Okay.
And this was about the time that I'd say like is somewhere around like 2008, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
When it was coming out stateside, basically.
Yeah.
It was about the time that I started watching Adult Swim more regularly, the times that I was actually allowed to be up late at night. And around that time, I actually started having TV in my room, so I started watching Adult Swim. And so this was on Adult Swim, and it was awesome. It was like this and Death Note and like a few other things that would like just play in quick succession, and I was like, I'm here for it, baby. Like,
it is really interesting, like how this really does, like this and Death Note really does symbolize like that sort of era in anime.
Yeah, it was. I feel like pre-Attack on Titan anime. It's this very awkward. It was this kind of like awkward phase in anime that
want to be a little bit more serious.
Yeah. And I think a lot of millennials have a little attachment to, primarily because we all watched Toonami and Adult Swim.
Right.
This Death Note. I'm trying to think like what other animes were available around that time.
Like Eureka 7.
Yeah. A lot of shows that were trying to take itself seriously, and also I think animes experimenting with CG animation. Not going full on with it just yet. But this actually might be one of the last generations of anime before CGI truly took over. And kind of one of the last like generations of anime where almost everything was hand drawn. It's like going from a majority of hand drawn animation to a majority CGI animation, if you get what I mean.
I get what you mean, yeah. Where it's like this was before it was kind of a blending of the two.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that before 2012, I would say, a majority of all anime was hand-drawn, with the exception of a few scenes. And, like, in Code Geass, there's a few scenes where, like, they get to the reactor core, and it's...
it's definitely,
it's CG. And possibly the Gundam's animation, or not the Gundam, the robot animations.
The Nightmare Frames.
The Nightmare Frames were, they assisted... assistant CGI animation to assist the 2D renderings. But after 2012 is when we start to see a lot more animes coming out where, I mean, everything is sometimes even storyboarded in CG. And then a lot of times they'll put 2D animation over top, but it's kind of like, this was the last generation where they weren't doing that.
That's true. For me, like, I have a confession. Mm-hmm. This really flew under my radar. Like,
that is wild.
Yeah, it's like during this time, because this was also the time where I had spotty connection to both internet and cable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fair.
So like that's part of the reason why I fell off of Death Note. It's also because I lost interest in Death Note. But like this was definitely during the time where I just had spotty connection. And if it wasn't Gundam, I didn't care. Which, now, as a 26-year-old Joe, I am just like, all mechs are good mechs.
All mechs are good mechs. Yeah, and I will also say, around this time, like I said, I was in high school, and if this isn't at all predictable of me, in high school, I was in anime club all 4 years.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, and I was anime club president my last year, and etc. So, this was like required reading and watching for someone in anime club. I really wanted a Pizza-kun plushie, like, real bad, and I was trying to figure out, like, how I could get my...
You know, they cost, like, $14 now.
They cost $14 now.
Yeah, I know, but back then!
Back then,
you needed 500 pizzas before you could get Cheese-kun.
Yeah, so Cheese-kun, we'll probably eventually...
Oh, don't worry, we went in that in the previous episode.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so Cheese-kun, back in the day, was... $200 to get it shipped from overseas, or if you were in Japan, you had to eat 500 Pizza Hut pizzas.
I don't want to look up the actual number because I feel like every time we're just going to reference this, it's just going to be more pizza.
It was a lot of pizza.
It was a lot of pizza.
I don't quite remember, mainly because I blacked out from too much sadness. Because little me was heartbroken that I couldn't have a Cheese-kun, and I really wanted to cosplay C2 at the time and like do the whole we'll get to it, but C2 in the Lolita outfit with a Cheese-kun.
Don't worry, we'll get to that.
Girl, I wanted that so bad. That was basically high school's me's shit, was cute plushies and Lolita girl fashion. So yeah, I will definitely also specify now, Season 1 is my jam, and Code Geass R2, what R2? That didn't exist. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about, R2-D2?
Yeah. There's no Season 2 of Code Geass. There's no Season 2 of Code Geass.
I will say,
there's no Season 2 of Code Geass.
There is no Season 2, but I kind of want to watch Season 2 after this. I kind of do. But anyway,
I'll suffer along with you on this. So yeah, I'm excited to rewatch this, and I will also say I was really jazzed to watch this with you, and for you to just shit all over it, and for me to be like, oh yeah, it's shit, but you're gonna love it.
And then I'm over here, just like, the radicalized 2019 person that I am, and then coming off of watching Death Note, where I'm just so tired of Light Yagami that, like, Lelouch is like, well, Lelouch was already Char Aznable, but it's just like, yes, I'm so glad to have Char Aznable back.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to have this. But we'll get into much later. Yeah, why Lelouch is not Char Aznable.
At least in the start, there's very much a Char Aznable, Amuro Ray kind of thing going on. But then it just completely dissolves. But I think I should also say that as husbands, this is actually a running trend as far as animes that I like tend to be, at least at the start, Joe's like, what the hell is this garbage?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, don't you worry, it's garbage, but it's beautiful garbage. And this is one of the times where you really have come around. And mainly it's because of Stockholm Syndrome. But
is the Stockholm Syndrome of you, or is it Stockholm Syndrome because I've been watching Death Note for far too long?
Yes. So anyway, episode 1 of Code Geass.
Episode 1, the day a new demon was born. So we start off with a flashback to Lelouch and Suzaku back when they were kids,
and really loud cicadas.
And also they know parkour. Like, they are so good at parkour, they can just climb a rock face, no problem. And then after that, they see off in the distance at Mount Fuji, a bunch of mechs or a bunch of planes just like coming in to evade Japan. And we find out that this is Japan, and that they're being invaded by the Britannian army. So, as they invade, they basically use mechs, which apparently this world has never had before.
Yep.
Mechs called nightmare frames. And once they go ahead and conquer and colonize Japan, which very much like actual Great Britain, they designate it as Area 11, basically stripping it of all of its culture and just like no longer calling Japanese people, but 11s.
Yep.
Like, it is quite cool, because, like, most anime like this, and I'm going to compare this to Gundam a lot, but Gundam really wants to sidestep the whole racism aspect by calling them space noids.
Well, and the racism and political issues by creating different races and creating different cultures and nations,
nationalities.
Whereas this anime, I really have to give kudos to in that this is actually a realistic kind of concept in that it's literally the whole conceit of this anime is what if Great Britain never fell? Basically, kind of like the what if the Americans had never won?
Exactly.
And because the American Revolution sparked many other revolutions, and it was kind of the first sign of the fall of Great Britain as an empire.
Yeah.
And so this anime kind of starts off with, what if that never happened? What if Great Britain continued on? What if this empire continued on? And it makes logical sense that they would invade Japan and kind of do like they did with
literally the rest of the Asian continent.
Yeah, the rest of their colonies basically step in, take down the local government by however means necessary, install themselves as the ruling class, and put down the native people that lived there.
So
that's literally what happens in the first 2 minutes of the anime, including a long exposition by who you will come to learn is C2.
Exactly, and we end this sort of prologue with Suzaku, with a young Suzaku and a young Lelouch looking on as they see like their country getting occupied, and Lelouch upsettingly says that he will go ahead and obliterate Britannia, and we're gonna put a pin in that.
All right,
we're gonna put a pin in that.
All right.
The first scene of radicalization. Here we go. Then the opening starts, and the opening needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
it's a bop.
It's such a good.
Oh my god! Before the section starts, I am definitely playing that just like right before this. It's just like the opening notes to that.
It's just those opening notes get you hyped for whatever's about to happen. It doesn't matter if it's the mass murder of innocent civilians. You're here for that bop and those first few notes.
You're here for that bop, and you're here to seize the means of production. That's what this bop symbolizes. It's the, like, I am ready to rebel against a fascist state. I'm ready. I'm here. Give me the ska band. Give me this Japanese ska band to go ahead and seize the means of production. Alright. So, after that, we come back to the present day, where a truck is now leaving the scene. It's being tracked by some police, very badly, by the way. Like, how the hell did they even get a hold of this truck? Who knows?
Yeah, like, it's kind of like how, when America was revolting, the British Empire's like, it's fine. We don't have enough money to take care of this. It'll be fine. They're just, like, kind of half-assed it, and that's why the Americans won.
So, then we cut to Lelouch with his friend Rivel, who is just really obnoxious as they come upon an underground chess gambling ring, which I never thought I would say these words out loud. But, here we are. And after they win their earnings and stuff, like, Lelouch is just commenting on how, like, the rich are just, like, you know, so, like, putsy and just stupid, and I'm here like, same, buddy.
Yeah, basically this entire like first episode, Lelouch talks like an absolute prick, just like looking down from above his nose, like down at all of these rich bastards, and you're just like, boy, your elegance, I love you, you fucking trash monster.
I'm over here like I'm on the opposite end. I'm like, yeah, fucking call him out. Fuck the rich. Fuck the rich. Eat the rich. Feed the poor.
Yeah, that's it. I think I think I've had quite a few conversations with other people and about Code Geass and Lelouch specifically. And I think Lelouch is very much one of those, you either love him or hate him.
Yeah.
And I always kind of hated him in a way because he was always a snide prick.
Yeah.
Like, especially the way he talks in this episode.
Oh,
I think it's very important that the anime does this, and it does portray him as he's kind of a snide asshole, which becomes important later on. Like, And spoiler alert, I guess, like, he's actually a British monarch that's been exiled.
Oh, what are you talking about?
So, like, of course he has that same kind of snide attitude, but, like, a jaded prince because he's been exiled.
He's been exiled, but for very good reasons. We'll get into that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But as they're coming out of their underground chess gambling ring, they see a TV broadcast showing that, like, oh my god, like, you know, these 11s have, like, gone ahead and hijacked this truck with, like, you know, a really dangerous weapon. And, like, the entire time, the dude who's doing this, I forget his name, it's, like, one of the princes, I didn't write it down because he's so unimportant.
He is so unimportant, he only lasts 2 1/4 episodes.
That's about. He's just going on and being so dramatic, being like, I feel for the 11s, and, you know, you just have all the people there, because this didn't happen, like, 80 years ago. This happened, like, 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we're Japanese, you fucking prick. And so, after that, we cut back to the people who hijacked the truck, and they're driving down the highway.
Beep, beep.
And as they drive, they come up behind Lelouch and his friend Revel, who are trying to get back to school in, like, their sidecar and bike, which also, really?
Right.
And they're like, beep, beep, get out the way. And they're like, we're a fucking bike, get a sidecar. We can only go 45 miles per hour.
Ooh, bitch, get out the way.
And so they dive into, like, an abandoned factory or whatever, and Lelouch is like, I see, like, a weird particle effect. I should go investigate that.
Lelouch is basically like, ooh, shiny.
Ooh, shiny! Actually, one thing before that is that, like, when Lelouch is talking about, like, how he does his chess plays, like, I put the king in front, and Rivel's just like, you know, you sound like a CEO. And the note I have here is, like, capitalism is a health risk, Rivel.
Yeah, basically, we'll probably say this again, but Rivel, shut the fuck up.
Ah, yes.
Rivel just, like, keeps on talking stupid stuff. Like, he mentions, like, you know, being a CEO of a company, like, needlessly. Just like, oh, you sound like you want to be a CEO of a company. Like, why would you say that? You would probably more likely to be like, oh, that sounds really arrogant, but okay.
So, whereas, like, in Death Note, I feel like a lot of the dub voice actors' choices were a lot spot on. Like, the only one that I really disliked so far is Rem.
Yeah.
Just because Rem sounds like the Pharaoh ghost from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like, that's just who she sounds like.
Return the slab.
Yes, it's that. It's exactly that.
Return the slab.
I made this joke earlier, too. I made that joke. But
this is why we married each other. Stupid humor.
But Code Geass, it really does have, like, you know, it has a lot of voice actors that you really like. Like, Lelouch is voiced by the same dude who does Nero, who's really good at this. And then you just have Rivel, who you're just like, can you shut up, please?
Rivel, shut the fuck up.
But, Lelouch goes to investigate, he gets into the truck, and as he does, the truck, which has crashed, and a bunch of people are just, like, taking photos and shit, like, somebody should call an ambulance, but not me.
No. They were like, maybe somebody should call the police, I don't know.
That's right, that same exact voice.
Yeah, it's, the best thing about the English dub of this anime is that it has many good qualities, which makes the really bad parts stand out even more.
It's
because
so good.
I am faking a woman voice being like, you think maybe someone should call the police?
And that's just it.
I don't know. And it's like, it's actually that. It's probably like some middle-aged guy was like, oh shit, we forgot to record the
just
beat
pitch shift it.
Yeah, someone forgot to record like all of these other extras.
Yep.
Shit. Okay, well, I'm gonna go into the booth for 5 minutes and just knock these the fuck out.
So, as he goes to investigate, though, he climbs on top of it. He's like, well, what's going on in here? And Lelouch gets bumped into the truck as it speeds off and backs out, and is like, we gotta get the fuck out of here because we're criminals. He dives and does like basically a parkour roll. Again, this kid knows parkour.
I mean, all princes should know parkour.
And as they're speeding away, like, they start getting shot by the police, who we find out are the royal military. And they are like, oh, we gotta go ahead and launch our nightmare frames. And the criminals, who are, we're just gonna call them revolutionaries. We're gonna call them the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries are like, we have our own nightmare frame. Understand the concept of love, motherfuckers. And they go ahead and launch their skating mech, which all the mechs skate in this. I am so happy.
Honestly, though, I think that the skating mech makes a lot more sense.
It's so cool!
Than a walking mech.
No, it's like the Scope Dogs from Bottoms.
Yeah.
It's fucking rad.
Yeah.
It's so
like,
cool.
Honestly, I think it makes a lot more sense that it's mechs on wheels rather than mechs walking. This is obviously a more efficient energy, expenditure. And they just got these really cool things that just, like, flick out, like extendable Heelys.
Mech Heelys!
Extendable mech Heelys. And then they just go...
Oh my
God. Yeah, they launched the Glasgow.
Yes, so then they just start talking about mech speak. I'm not going to get into this because I could, and I shouldn't, because I'm a fan of Gundam. And I can go ahead and talk about, like, how there's a difference between the Glasgow and the Southern.
Keep going.
Anyway. So, after that, the thing that I noted here was, like, how, like, the pilots of the Sutherlands, like, the imperialists who are going after the revolutionaries, like, they're derogatorily referred to them as, like, these filthy 11s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This entire episode really tries to bring home the point that, like, racism is actually happening, and it's kind of, to us, it's like, wow, this is a lot. But also, like, it kind of really needs to showcase, like, these people are terrible because they are racist. Like, specifically. Because, yeah, they refer to Japanese people as filthy 11s, and a lot of times also calling them monkeys.
Yeah.
Which, if you are familiar at all with life, and the past, like, 40, 50 years of history, like, monkey is
pretty derogatory. Now, usually that is used towards a different race of people, but, like, it has the same loaded...
It's definitely, they use the same loaded terminology to convey, like, this is nasty behavior.
Like, this is actual racism.
These people are awful. And, like, during this time, they also don't care at all if there's civilian casualties. Because, again, they're just filthy monkey 11s.
So, meanwhile, as everybody's kind of freaking out because, like, oh my god, they stole our nerve gas or something like that.
Yeah, poison gas.
Yeah, our poison gas. The professor of the Gundam the experimental team, is like, hey, I have a neat new mobile suit to test out. Can you let me in on this, please?
I want my Gundam to go vroom vroom.
And they're like, no, you can't do that, but you know what, maybe you could come by. Okay, alright. And they go ahead and take him. But then, after that, we cut back to the truck as it goes underground and it crashes because the driver has been shot. and he is like bleeding out. And then freaking
he's like, I'm gonna release the gas.
I'm gonna release the gas. So Lelouch is still in the back of this truck.
Yep.
And he's like, I should probably go. And as he's about to go, one of the soldiers has come by to stumble upon him, and he comes in with this flying, like, swivel-ass kick.
The flying aerial kick, trademark of Suzaku Kururugi.
He comes in with this flying fucking kick, which also he's part of a special group that's entirely made of, like, 11s who have conscripted to, like, the Britannian army.
Yeah.
Like,
so basically there's a way for the Japanese people to become Britannian nationals by basically giving up their entire Japanese identity, being called, disgusting monkeys in the military for long enough, and then they will get a passport that says, I'm a Britannian now.
I'm a Britannian. He comes in, and he's like, you fucking terrorist, and Lelouch is like, you are literally part of the group that is advocating for ethnic cleansing and genocide. Like, listen, I'm here to tell you, like, you are fucking wrong. And Suzaku's like, I did not listen to anything you said. Are you my childhood best friend? And suddenly they're like, oh my god, my childhood best friend. Oh my god, my childhood best friend.
And then the gas chamber opens.
And as it does, like, Suzaku just fucking tackles Lelouch with, like, the gas mask, because Suzaku, despite everything, is still a good boy.
Suzaku is a terrible, stupid, dumb, idiot boy, but boy is he a good boy. He is like the golden retriever who constantly tries to eat his own shit. God damn it, he's a stupid fucking idiot boy. But god damn it, he is such a good boy.
And as the gas chamber opens up, we get ourselves a beautiful green-haired waifu just fucking falling out with
my personal favorite waifu.
With a fucking mask and everything. And freaking Suzaku's like, wait, the fascists lied to me? Fascists can lie?
Fascists wouldn't lie to me.
The fascist government wouldn't lie to me. As the fascists then show up. The fascists have logged on. Here is the alt-right.
Yep, here is the alt-right. They give him a gun and tell him to shoot Lelouch. And Suzaku, the good, dumb, idiot boy, is like, no, I won't do that. He's a civilian.
I won't carry out the fascism of the fascists that I signed up with.
He's a civilian. I won't do that. And then he gets shot.
He gets shot in the back. And
like, no fucking surprise.
And as Lelouch sees this, of course, he is just getting closer and closer to getting radicalized. We'll put a pin in that. There are 2 pins currently.
Yep.
And then the driver of the truck is like, fuck, it wasn't actually a gas bomb. Well, time to blow up the truck. And he blows up the truck as Lelouch and this green-haired waifu get away. As the Britannian army starts to realize, like, they don't have control over the situation, the prince dude is like, listen, we're going to call this urban remodeling, and starts performing an ethnic cleanse as they literally just kind of level and hunt down every Japanese person in the Shinjuku ghetto. And it is perhaps some of the most uncomfortable imagery next to Misa Misa being bound and gagged.
Yep.
It is so not great, and then on top of this, a bunch of the pilots are just like, I'm having so much fun causing genocide!
Yeah, which is very accurate.
So, Lelouch comes out of a tunnel with the green-haired girl, and he hears them as they corner and gun down a mother and child, and we'll put a pin in that.
Yep. 3 pins.
We got 3 pins. We're getting there. And then after that, Lelouch is cornered by the Britannian army as they go ahead and say, like, we'll just go ahead and say that, like, we couldn't retrieve the girl. We couldn't retrieve the girl because as they're about to murder him, she jumps in front of the bullet and is like, you can't kill him. And they're like, well, this is just a government cover-up. And as she's dying on the floor, Lelouch looks at this, and we got 4 pins now. We got 4. there are 4 pins because Lelouch is looking at this like, why did you just kill her? There was no point.
Well, they were gonna kill him.
Yeah, but anyway,
But they have no sympathy for killing her.
Oh, no. So then after that, she grabs his hand, and suddenly we are transported to the Velvet Room.
The Velvet Room.
As she then makes a contract with Lelouch, which we're not quite sure what that means. We get a bunch of images of, like, Ragnarok and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on that will be explained later.
And as he comes back from the stupor, he looks at the Britannian soldiers, and he basically says, like, listen, what would you say about a person who hates his own country? And, like, what are you, a radicalized individual? And he's like, yes, I am. I got 4 pins in me, and I'm ready to go ahead and start a freaking leftist socialist movement.
Anyway, kill yourselves. And then they do.
And then they do, because it turns out she gave him mind control powers.
Yep, so just like Death Note, Lelouch acquires magical supernatural powers that allow him to basically change the world.
To change the world. And it's such a...
Presumably for the better.
And it's such a night and day sort of thing, because whereas, like, Light, when he obtains his powers, he's like, I've become my true self. Lelouch is like, this is nothing but lies. Like, this is the power to change the world, and I have to give up myself in order to become this.
Yep. I kind of like how it does kind of interject that with, as soon as he's basically standing in a room of, like, all of these dead, bleeding bodies, and he's like, this is the point at which my life became a lie.
Yeah.
It's like, record scratch. I bet you're wondering how I got myself into this situation.
Like, it's so... This episode is so good. This episode is so good. I'm unironically saying this. Like, watching it a second time is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that, like, Lelouch is, again, such night and day to, like, fucking Light.
So, with this, the radicalization, I mean, you start off with, this prince who has somehow ended up in this situation. He calls himself Lelouch v. Britannia, and then everyone responds, yes, your highness.
Yeah.
So, like, you get this inkling that, like, he's some kind of exiled prince.
Yeah.
And then we have all of these situations in which he witnesses the full...
like, atrocities,
of the British Empire.
Like, he sees this, like, from a first-hand account rather than just, like, news reports. Because that was just the other thing. Like, earlier in this episode, he comes off as so callous.
Yep.
He's like, what can you do? How could you feel anything for this? It's just more people dying. People die every day. And then he witnesses it firsthand and realizes, like, this shit is actually happening to real fucking people.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Yeah. And without hesitation, too.
Yeah.
The way that the Britannians go about it, like, because they have so dehumanized the Japanese people, taken away their culture, called them monkeys, they don't care that they're mowing down humans. And in fact, they just willingly just mow down these people.
Yeah. And, oh god, it's so good. It's a good first episode, which then brings us to episode 2.
Yeah.
The white mobile suit. I mean, the White Knight awakens! Because the Gundam's here, everybody. The Gundam is here.
So first we created the demon, and now we have the White Knight.
Now we have the White Knight. So we cut back to Lelouch amongst the dead bodies as a Sutherland mech comes by, and it's piloted by this green-haired, another sort of aqua-haired woman, who's like, who the fuck are you? Why is there a bunch of dead people here?
Oh, who the fuck are you?
And she gets impatient with him and then tries to shoot at him with her giant mech gun, because, yeah, that's so normal. But before, like, she gets out of her mech, Lelouch tries to use his mind control powers on her and says, like, I command you to get out this mech. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you? And he then puts together, like, oh, fuck, I need to make eye contact with her in order to make the mind control powers work. So he's like, I am this son of this random duke. I have my ID in my pocket if you want to come check. And
because she is gullible, she gets out of the Gundam.
She gets out of the mobile suit, the nightmare frame. And then after that, she made her first mistake. And she's taken over as he's like, you will give me your nightmare frame so I can get the fuck out of here. She's like, okay. And just gives it to him along with the access codes. Then we cut back to our favorite cop, Suzaku, as he's lying in a medical bed with the...
fucking alive. Like, he shouldn't have been, but he is. Because, as it turns out, he was shot at point blank range, but he was wearing a bulletproof vest. But the thing that saved him was an old watch.
Yes.
A very old watch that Mr. Doctor is like, oh, we found this on your person. It looks like it saved you. Anyway, get in the robot, Shinji.
Get in the robot, Shinji. It's time to be a special boy with a special Gundam. Which I don't think that it's necessarily like much of a coincidence that Suzaku is brown haired, has a bright eyes, and kind of looks like Amuro Ray.
Oh, very much so. Like, it's honestly, it's probably not a coincidence. Does he look like a Japanese person? Not at all. In fact...
Does he look like a Gundam pilot, though? Yes!
Does.
Yes, he does!
That's the thing that bothers me, is that, like, Suzaku is supposed to be a Japanese person, and he's got, like, brown hair and, like, green eyes? Is it green eyes? Yeah, like, what kind of fucking Japanese person?
I feel like they got the design documents mixed up, and Suzaku was supposed to be Lelouch.
And Lelouch
was supposed to be Suzaku.
Because Lelouch kind of makes sense. At least he's got the black hair, and, like, Lelouch is also part Japanese, so that checks out. But, like, the purple eyes.
Yeah.
Purple eyes.
Oh my god.
What kind of human has purple eyes?
I mean, this is character designs by Cardcaptor. Clamp.
Clamp. Suzaku gets in the mech.
Suzaku agrees to get into the mech. And then we cut to back at school, which I'm guessing is probably about 2 miles away from the Shinjuku ghetto.
Yeah.
But it's so night and day. You see this harsh divide between the privileged class and those who are not so privileged.
Yeah, and, like, there's the TV playing in the background. They're watching, like, a game show.
Yeah.
The girls are, I think, making, like, comments about their hair and stuff like that. So, like, it really does try to highlight the night and day of, like, the atrocities of war and the civilians who turn a blind eye to it.
Who turn a blind eye to it and also have no choice in it.
Yeah.
Like, they literally cannot see it because as Lelouch is hijacking this mech, he gives a call to one of those students there, and he's like, hey, could you just, like, tune into the news and tell me what the fuck is going on in Shinjuku? Oh, traffic is just being blocked there. And he realizes, like, they're not saying anything about what the hell's going on here as, like, public cleansing is happening.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And it's just like, yes, the fascist state controlling the media. Who'd have thought? Wow! And then after that, he's like, well, I'll be home later. Bye. I gotta go lead a revolution. So he goes ahead and gives a call to one of the revolutionaries, and he's like, listen, you gotta listen to my directions right now, because I'm going to go ahead and save your ass because I have access to this mech.
Yeah. And the thing I like about the rest of the scene and this kind of thing that plays out is he has the upper hand against the Britannians because, like, he is in a Britannian mobile suit. Like, he has the access codes. He has, like, the stuff, like, he can see their stuff, and so, yeah, there's a reason why he helps them win this battle.
Yeah, And so, since he knows all this, he's able to go ahead and direct them to a train where they're able to hijack more mobile suits.
Yeah.
And as they do, they're like, what the fuck? Are we really just gonna trust what the voice says? And fucking Ogi's like, just do whatever the voice says.
Do whatever the voice says.
Don't worry about the voice.
Don't worry about the crab.
Don't worry about him. So, as they go ahead and hijack the mobile suits, they basically turn the tide of the battle, because now they have the same friendly codes as the other mobile suits, so they don't know who the hell friend or foe is. So, as they turn the side of the battle continues to rage, as Suzaku gets in the Gundam, who is known as the Lancelot. And as he does, he understands the concept of love, and is able to go ahead and speed off into battle as he single-handedly destroys most of the revolutionary mobile suits. As he does, Lelouch is like, listen, one Nightmare Frame can't do this. What the fuck are you talking about? It's almost like it's a Gundam.
And then it finds him and pops up, and he just goes, oh fuck.
Oh fuck, it's a Gundam.
Before he gets smashed in the face.
And before he get, like, his cockpit caved in, one of the revolutionaries that he saved earlier, in the red mobile suit, we'll put a pin in that, she comes in and she's like, I'm just repaying you for later, and just goes ahead and distracts Suzaku so that Lelouch can get away. And as Lelouch is, like, trying to escape, he's trying to go ahead and provide cover fire to, like, just distract the Lancelot. It turns out the Lancelot is, again, just a Gundam, so it's just dancing through all this debris. And then Suzaku sees a woman and child falling, and he's like, oh god, never mind, I'm not a cop, I'm just a good boy, and goes to rescue these people as Lelouch gets the fuck away.
Again, the golden retriever who keeps eating his own shit, and, like, you know, just, like, fucking, like, pissing all over the rug. But damn it, he's such a good boy.
He's such a good boy. So, we cut to the revolutionaries, now without mobile suits, are like, you know, why the fuck did we listen to the voice? Why did you tell us don't worry about the voice? As the Britannian army then busts through the wall. And they're like, we're just gonna go ahead and kill all you people. 3, 2, 1. And then, before they can fire, the prince just says, like, I want you to cease all hostilities right now. Don't do a fucking thing, because we see that Lelouch has infiltrated the base with his mind control powers.
Hell yeah.
And as he does, he confronts the prince, who's like, are you happy now? And he's like, yes, brother!
Brother!
And we find out that, like, Lelouch is confronting his older brother, and he's like, you're supposed to be dead! And he's like, I lived, bitch.
Yeah, it's very, all of the royal family stuff that goes on in this anime is so very soap opera.
It's so telenovela.
It's so telenovela.
It's so telenovela.
Like, oh, brother. Dun, 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 dun. Like smash cuts of, you know, shocked faces and, like, evil smirks. Yeah.
It's so great. It's so great. And before the episode ends, we're very much inclined to believe that Lelouch is about to guillotine a fascist.
Hell yeah, brother.
So, yeah, that is episode 2. Compared to episode 1, it's very the battle rages with a lot of cool mech shit. Like, I really like the Lancelot. I really, really like the Lancelot. But compared to, like, the emotional weight of, like, episode 1, episode 1 is just so good at setting the stakes and just, like, very much characterizing Lelouch as who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, episode 2 is just very much, like, it feels like a point A to point B episode. It feels like a very transitionary episode.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of feels like this anime would have vastly benefited from movie adaptations.
It did get a compilation movie.
But, like, that's the thing, is that, like, I haven't watched that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, so I'm pretending it doesn't exist. But I think it would have been better if it had started as movies, because, I mean, this, or something kind of like an HBO series where it's like, an hour long, episodes. Because it just kind of feels like episode 2 is just a continuation of episode 1.
It really does, yeah.
And if they had continued episode 2 in the same fashion and kind of thematics that they did with episode 1, I think it would have been a lot better. And I think that's kind of where I fall with Code Geass as a whole, is I love so much of it. I love the details of it. I love how realistic it is. I love that it displays these atrocities of war so well. I love the characterization. I kind of like a lot of the lore that's going on. And also just in general, I like it. But there's also like so many parts of it where I'm like, man, imagine if someone who really was into choreography, like, did these fight scenes.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone who really cared about the cinematography, like, took a hold of this anime. Imagine if we continued some of these thematics into other episodes. Because, yeah, like, some of the episodes usually have kind of a theme, an ongoing theme running through it, like the radicalization and stuff like that. But then it just kind of goes away the next episode. And it's like, man, imagine how much better this anime could have been if, like, just, like, one little detail was fixed. Or, like, this one little thing was addressed. And, I think I just, in general, love this anime. But, yeah, again, it's flawed.
It's flawed. And for the most part for me, just because... like, I'm coming off a Death Note. Mm-hmm. I'm coming off Death Note where, like, Light has no ideology other than just being a serial murderer. And that's really it. Like, Light's just a serial murderer. There is no real, like, ideology to him other than, like, people who don't contribute to society and also people who just don't bend to my will. Mm-hmm. Which, granted, has its own message. Light is just a fucking classist. Like, he is the person that Lelouch would look at and be like, fuck you, and try to kill him. And then probably mind control him and be like, you're gonna write your own name in the Death Note, you fucking stupid bitch. But, like, this is a lot of reasons why, like, watching this in contrast to Death Note, I really, really appreciate the fact that it takes its time with... not even take its time, but really showcasing, like, this is what made this character this way. This is the history that led to this character. This is something like that. And then also showing the general world that, like, Lelouch lives in. It's just not a good world. Whereas, like, the world that Light lives in is okay.
It's just typical...
yeah.
Japan.
It's just typical Japan. So it really makes no... like... there's no compelling reason as to believe why, like, Light is like, I need to revolutionize the world.
It's not even like there's really any stakes involved.
No.
Kind of thing. Whereas, like, definitely with this anime, there are stakes.
Oh, yeah.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are very high, and there is, like, a call to revolution. There is a call, like, the status quo needs to be upheaved. Whereas, like, for Death Note, it's literally just some bored asshole who suddenly gets god powers.
And who wants to upset the status quo because fuck you.
Because fuck you. And
I do what I want.
It's not even really upsetting the status quo. It's keeping it in check. Like, he's the worst. He's the absolute worst. So, yeah, I like Code Geass. It turns out I like Code Geass.
And I love Code Geass. And I love to shit on it a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues with it. But also, it's my favorite. And I think anyone who knows me knows that this is a running theme. The things that I love, I shit on. I shit hardcore on. I think that all of my favorite animes are garbage, but I want you to note that they are my garbage. And Code Geass is just part of my garbage.
Just part of your garbage. But, yeah, that covers our 2 episodes. We'll come back with next recording with episodes 3 and 4. Unlike Death Note, I did watch these fairly recently and then stopped at like episode 14 to just like go ahead and do this podcast. So I'm not gonna do like a predictions here until like episode 14, where I'm just gonna be like, here's how I'm gonna feel about this,
and then I laugh at you,
and then you laugh at me, and then I'm just gonna be probably horribly disappointed. But we're gonna go ahead and do the reverse from probably the beginning of this episode here, where well, what you been up to outside of watching Code Geass with me?
So I keep on saying that I've been recovering from this weekend, and it's Thursday now, and I feel really bad about that. So I have been recovering from a weekend of MegaCon, which is an anime convention in Orlando, Florida. But I think that it's kind of easy to just say, oh, I went to MegaCon, but I didn't really go to MegaCon. I was volunteering as a part of the Cospital, the cosplay repair workshop, as I like to just refer to it as. But yeah, the cosplay hospital, and I really enjoy doing that. Yeah. So basically, the Cospital is just an organization, nonprofit here in the Central Florida area, where we go to conventions and repair things for when people have wardrobe malfunctions, their costume breaks, as it inevitably does. Anyone who does cosplay kind of knows that feeling of like your cosplay breaks. Yeah. Like the moment you walk onto the con floor. It's just kind of the convention experience. But Cospital kind of aims to be kind of just like the like general like, oh hey, you had a seam tear or like something fell off, like we're here, we'll fix it. And so I spent this weekend doing that, which was basically like full days of just like, you know, helping people in mid-panic. And it's very fun, it's very rewarding, and I like working with the people that I do. The owners of our nonprofit are kind of like super duper cool people. But also it's very exhausting. So that's kind of what I've been recovering from. And also the thing about working hospitals, every time I do, I get kind of reinvigorated with my own crafting efforts, mainly because like I'm just suddenly surrounded by all of these people who are so into cosplay and fabrication and sewing that I'm like, man, I really want to do some of my own. So I've been kind of planning and drafting some of my Caduceus Clay cosplay from Critical Role, as well as working on some other projects. And can I put in another thing that I'm super excited about? Because it just happened like 3 hours ago. But Tupperware Remix Party just came out with a music video for one of my favorite songs, Starlight Brigade, that features Dan Avidan of Game Grumps and Ninja Sex Party. And oh my god, that video is so fucking good.
It's so good.
The song itself I've always loved, and now this music video is here, and it's my dream, and like I kind of have to cosplay Danny.
Of course.
I kind of have to cosplay Danny. And so like I'm just already feeling invigorated to like do more cosplay because of Cospital, and now I'm like, I could cosplay that. I could do that. I could do that real good. So yeah, that's what's making me happy.
That's good. One question I do want to ask, just because it is kind of a plug, but if somebody did want to volunteer for Cospital, how would they go about that?
So you'd have to be in the Central Florida area. But so that's like the one stipulation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different cosplay repair workshops at many conventions around the country and the nation, like worldwide, honestly.
Right.
But if you're interested in our organization, you can look us up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, I believe, as Cospital Cosplay Repair is kind of what we go by. You'll see a shark with a nurse cap on it. That's kind of our logo, is our little mascot is Nurse Shark. Yeah. And so if you're in the Orlando area and you have even like a remote like amount of skills, like you know how to man a hot glue gun, you know how to use a hot glue gun, like you can pretty much volunteer for one day at one of our conventions upcoming. I know we'll be at like LumiCon later this year, and a few other cons upcoming, but usually mega cons and stuff like that. You can, you know, volunteer for a day, see if the owners like you, and then volunteer, you know, continuing on from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, just look up the organization as Cospital Cosplay Repair. They are cool people. I love all of them, and I love getting to do that stuff.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, for me, what I've been up to during the time of this recording is I've been looking up a lot of old mech games and just downloading and like trying to play them legally, of course, totally.
Legally downloading.
Yes.
PS1 copies.
Yes, because I own them. So I recently tried Front Mission 3, just because it's one of the easiest ones for me to get booted up right now. Why did I sleep on the Front Mission franchise? I'm not sure. It seems entirely like my shit. It is a turn-based strategy RPG that involves like sort of hard science mechs called Wanzers, which already I just like saying that name, Wanzer. It's neat. I hate the main character. I'm glad I did not name him after myself, because he just sounds like a whiny little shit. He sounds like Ko Kutaragi from Gundam 0083, which I'm just like, get the fuck out of my face, please.
I love that. I love that situation when you're like, I'm gonna name the main character after me, and then you find out that the main character is like a fascist, like conservative fuckhead, and you're like, oh no.
But I took one look at this dude's like profile picture. I'm like, no, that ain't me, dog. That ain't me. And I just was like, no, I'm just gonna keep the default name here.
Just call him Shit Nugget.
I wish I did. But it's fun. The other game I have in the wings, which I probably might talk at the beginning of this podcast. Time travel's weird, y'all. But Sakura Wars, which, we found because I was aching for something other than Persona 5, because I know once I'm done with Persona 5, I'm going to be aching for this sort of like dating sim / strategy RPG mechanic.
Yeah. Can I just say that, yeah, you were like, man, I really want to play more games like Persona 5. I want to play life sims. And so I literally just like Googled like games like Persona 5 and saw Sakura Wars recommended. And then I just looked it up and I'm like, oh no. Joe, this is your bullshit.
It's 1920s mechs. Like, 1920s mechs in New York City.
And anime girls.
I'm just like, I'm here. The mech stand has logged on.
I'm here. I'm queer. I'm ready for robots.
I'm ready. I'm so ready. So I'm hoping at the beginning of this podcast, future Joe will just be like, I love Sakura Wars. I'm really hoping, because that I booted it up just to make sure everything was working with the emulator, and fuck, it seems entirely like my bullshit. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Please don't disappoint me. Please. So anyway, yeah, that should do it for our podcast. So, Mael.
Yes.
Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Mael Ecology on most social media platforms. Maela Ecology. I don't know.
You know,
does is letters. Yeah, so Mael Ecology is my handle. I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm trying to get onto a little bit of Twitter. and gonna be doing more Twitch in the future, hopefully when our life settles down.
Oh yeah,
as it inevitably does. I hope so. This last few months have been a little crazy for us, but I think it's safe to say that it's dying back down soon.
It's definitely dying back down. We're getting back into like the normal swing of things now.
The normal homebody life.
Yep. And I probably plugged my shit earlier in this episode. I'm just Joe Stars on most social media. But you can catch me on Sundays as I play Deadly Premonition, otherwise known as Twin Peaks, the game. It's great. I'm having a great time. I'm not having a great time. The controls are garbage. But watch as I go ahead and dive into Twin Peaks, the game, and decide whether or not it is actually for me. I'm still on the fence about it. So, with that about does it. So, with Oops All Anime, I'm not sure if you heard, we did change the tagline for this. Instead of it being tip your waiters 50%. So, as always, people who listen, eat the rich, feed the poor.
I'm not sure if this is better or worse.
It's a lot better because anime is socialist propaganda.
Okay.
Take that, you freaking neoliberals who are like, Cowboy Bebop is neoliberalism. Sure, okay, because Spike's having such a wonderful time with his small business. Sure, alright. Anyway, eat the rich, feed the poor.
I'm just gonna yikes on out of this. Goodbye.
Bye.